All right then. What is going on YouTube? So, hope everybody's having a good night. Oh, which part of y'all in the world? Even though this was supposed to be that I'm my back podcast right here, but I had to do one yesterday that just took up some time. So, officially, I don't know if this, that will be my coming back podcast. Now this is really, I'm here. So, but even though it's good to be back on U.S. soil, had a good time traveling around Europe. It was enjoyable, no fun trip going around. Right off the bat, Melman, really, right after the bat, you're gonna start that. But anyway, yeah. It was fun traveling around 3 countries. Even though I didn't do that much travel in when I was in England, which was the last leg of the trip. Excuse me. I had fun in France, and I really had a lot of fun in Belgium. I got to saw some cool things, and hopefully, when I get a chance to do it, hopefully, when I get a chance to do it, I will put some video about that in the on the channel. So about that, and apologize for, but I am a little hungry and I'm eating some stuff right now. But anyway, anybody who wants to join in, who was part of the regular crew, send a chat. I had to take care of some business first. I want to start at 9 o'clock, but listen, it is what it is.
How's it going?
Not much. Just good to be back.
Yeah, this Splatoon is addictive, man.
I
this shit
just
is crack.
I just started. What was it? Around 6 o'clock. I basically got home, but then something happened. But before that, I was playing Splatoon as well too, and the 7 run was open. I said, you know what? Let me try to play the 7 run, and randoms just went in there 6 times, and we won all 6 times straight, and then we lost the 7th, and then we lost, and then we won the 8th. So
yeah,
I mean,
Salmon Run, I think to me is like almost like the best new mode.
Oh, it's good. I was just saying, for me to realize that it really wasn't needed. I didn't really need a voice check because I didn't talk to none of those people. Hell, I'm not even lying. 2 of the times I was 2 out of 7 when we 2 out of the 7 that we the 6 that we won. I was doing something else that I'm happy the Switch can do.
Well, I'm gonna keep it real. The only time voice chat, like the only time I really wished I had voice chat was just to tell people, look, they're coming from the west side. But even then, it was like, or hey man, why aren't you picking up? Why aren't you covering your side of the island? You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, but a couple of times I saw them say like that's this because I would say when you say here over here, arrow points up to tell you who's showing out at you.
Right. Because so you don't even. I mean, voice chat would be nice, but you don't. It's not absolutely necessary. Like I haven't seen a multiplayer game yet on not just the Switch, but on anything really, where it's like, well, this game can't be played unless you have voice chat.
Hold on. What about SOCOM?
You know what?
Maybe the older SOCOMs, like the SOCOMs that were more tactics based, yeah, but not SOCOM as it is now. SOCOM as it is now has been casualized because SOCOM was always kind of a niche franchise anyway.
Okay.
Which is sad, but you know, it is what it is.
Oh.
Oh man, this game is so addictive. Nintendo, you made digital crack.
Yep.
digital crack. Nintendo's like, look, we just get last was Splatoon 1, they gave you a taste, but now they're like, you got your hook now. You gotta come to us, baby.
Yeah. What up, Keys? Well, for me, it was like I said, it was that because I didn't come back to America. When I came back to America, I mean, I already had my on my office desk when I came in. There was Splatoon there again, but I bought it when I was in Europe. I bought it when I was in when I was over there. So I was like, you know what? I don't know. So I double dipped.
It's a good game. I mean, it is addictive. That's all I want to say about Splatoon.
Yeah, I was gonna. Like I said, yeah, I'm at the 4th level of it, but then I got picked. Then like I said, I went back and played some other games. Of course, been playing like on my Switch. Like I'm trying to. I've been playing Blast Masters, and now that I think it's today or tomorrow, they're supposed to have the Shovel Knight free DLC. So
today,
it's today.
Yeah, because I just downloaded it like.
All right. Well, now you just tell me.
A short time ago.
No, if that's the case. Nope. I am going to be doing it right now then.
Yeah. And I haven't played it yet because I missed the other 2 downloadable things because I was like busy doing other stuff. But
yeah, okay. Well, like I said, I missed the girl that was from the original download I thought was gonna thing. I missed that because I was traveling as well. So I forgot about that. But
Shantae. No, it was the honey bunny fairy girl. Yeah. I mean, I was like, okay, that DLC. I'm like, come on, man. But but Shovel Knight, Gunvolt, Shantae makes perfect sense. Keep it up.
Yeah. No, yeah. So yeah, and for it to be. For these things to be that they give a nice little window for it to be free. That's why I like it. So yeah, I am right now heading to the eShop to download that because that is free. And then after that, it's like $1.99 per character. And I like how I give it to way forward. I mean, for instance, crates. I mean, they put in effort for the uniqueness of each character.
Yeah, you can't be. Yeah, and every character plays differently. It's not the same shit over and over and over again, or just a different character skin. They all play differently, which I like because so many games they like, oh, we have this guest character, but he plays exactly like the other ones.
Basically, a palette swap.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how they used to handle shit like that back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Now that's what it was, but yeah, I am surprised that this is they did a good job on this because I just never saw that. Like my first one, of course, was Gunvolt. So when I got Gunvolt, I was like, "Wow, Gunvolt, okay!" And they put in all the power moves, and I was like, "Okay." And then I did get Shantae when I was over I got it on the last day, and I was just like. And Belgium was like, you know what? Let me just look at my Switch and I try to connect to the hotel Wi-Fi to make sure everything's all right. And then after it was like, bam! I was like, you got a one. I'm like, oh, last day, okay. Download Shantae, and then she plays like Shantae.
Shantae, yeah.
So I mean it adds something that's not in a lot of games. Well, I mean Splatoon has it. Splatoon has it. I mean Breath of the Wild has it to a degree too, but it's because it's such a vast thing, it'll be different. But it adds something that a lot of games have been missing lately as well too, replayability. So I'm playing. I literally have different files. I have the regular Black. I have I have one for Jason. I have one for Gunvolt, and I have one for Shantae. And I'm gonna have, of course, I have one for Shovel Knight. And I'm happy that they give you all three, their own. You can have your own save file. That's pretty cool. So
yeah,
I've been playing them, and it feels like night and day to me.
Yeah. I mean, the Switch. I mean, I'm not really using the portability aspect of my Switch because if I did, I wouldn't get any work done at my job.
Yeah.
Like I literally would get nothing done. So I don't take it with me. But I mean, when I go to the movies, I bring that thing in with me in my Merce. Actually, it's not a Merce. It's a satchel. It's a satchel.
But
because a Merce is just
too much.
Well, yeah, the Merce is just too much.
Got you. But yeah, it's
Look like a suspicious person going to the film theater. Though it's such a big. No, never mind.
Well, I mean, it's not that. It's just the Merce is kind of.
Oops, wrong thing.
It's kind of.
The Merce is just is kind of disrespected because no one really likes it.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, but it was.
I mean, even though some of our favorite heroes use Merces, like Indiana Jones has a Merce, technically speaking, although he calls it a satchel. It's a Merce.
Well, the word Merce wasn't around when he was that, so he called it what he was back then. If you want to,
it was just a satchel.
Yeah,
it was a satchel, and I mean, it was cool. It was cool when Indiana Jones had his Merce. Like no one was like, "Oh man, that's not masculine."
Because the word was not existed then. That word. I mean, it's like you said, a satchel, a briefcase, or stuff like that. Like, yeah, that's everybody had a different term, but back then that word was not existed yet. Now we got many words because of the Oxford and Webster and all those dictionary words that we put in every year now. For some reason, we are adding vocabulary to the language, but then it's a double entendre to a word that was a double entendre in most cases, or oxymoron to an oxymoron, or just because we add these words, give them new definition, even though we still got to use the original word in the definition to explain the word.
Oh, come on! We're in the new age. We gotta splice up something.
Yeah,
well, I mean, has anyone seen how Capcom still just can't stop effing up?
Yeah, well, hey,
like,
Capcom is doing what it normally do. I have to say, okay, I watched several videos today and been going crazy with the whole Capcom stuff, and my video yesterday was not that. My video was just proving something like look. One video did come out, and I was surprised the person did say this, and I was like, you know what, it's good, but they're not. We all here know that Capcom is a former shell of what it used to be.
Shell.
Yeah, everybody abandoned.
It's not even a shell. It's like they took the dregs of what Capcom used to be, and then they took those dregs and put them in another barrel. Yeah. That's Capcom as it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their dev teams are shallow. They're not there. I mean, the Monster Hunter team is there, but a lot of the people who made their names, and we've talked about this before in the past, that a lot of people who made their names and who helped Capcom became
they jumped the coop.
They basically jumped ship because they saw half of it was because Capcom treated them bad, and the other half is because the other half is like they saw the writing on the wall and they were like, "Oh shit, let's get the hell out of here."
Well, I mean, the thing is like you can't build like everyone's like, well, Monster Hunter is the one thing they have that's still kind of knocking it out the park. But the thing is, you can't be a third-party developer / publisher with just one IP, especially in today's industry. You can't do it. You just like you can't build everything around that one IP unless you're really, really small. Like,
well, apparently there are other companies that are basically just making one IP, but
well, I was about to say there are companies that do that, but like one of them.
Go ahead.
There's this PC game developer. There's this PC game called Avedon, and it's basically an isometric RPG. It's made by a husband and wife couple, and they've been making these games for like they've been making games like this for like 15, 20 years. But it's just two of them. You know?
To be honest, I didn't even thought those in mind. I'm actually talking about the bigger companies, but yeah.
Well, not what bigger companies, because I mean, other than like, I think what Red says, like, yeah, like for PC, I could see it, but majority of people who's a publisher and a developer, I don't think they have just one IP and surviving.
Yeah, even Bethesda has more than one IP. Bethesda has, well, now they have Elder Scrolls Fallout. They bought the rights to, they bought the rights to Fallout. They bought the rights to Prey.
Dishonored.
Quake. Dishonored's a new IP, but they bought the rights to that. I mean, they don't have just one IP that they're relying on. So, I mean, I don't know what to say.
I'll take back my words. Just that Capcom is also one that has different IPs, but just stick with
one,
at least one.
Well, they used to have multiple IPs, but now they pretty much focus on Street Fighter and Monster Hunter. That's basically all they really put out now. And occasionally you'll get a Resident Evil, but not a very good one.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Resident Evil, but not a good one.
Yeah, let's go with that one. Yeah, in that regard, because the Resident Evil 7 came out, did good for them. That's what a lot of people said. I played the game. I think it was an alright game, but it's like for me, like I don't have the replayability. Just like we talked about the whole replayability thing. Like once you figure out where the scares are and everything's like, nah. And it's
unless you it's a type of game you don't want to play for maybe 5 years down the road.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a cinematic game, not really because here's what people forget about Resident Evil when it first began. Resident Evil is a puzzle adventure game. It's not just, let me just go and do the same thing over and over again. Hey guys, guess what?
Yeah. I mean, and everybody remembers the family in that game, which is that's good for those people. Somebody brought it up today, and I remember too. I can't remember the main. Like when they said it, I was like, "Well, yeah, I don't even remember the main character of the damn game." And I played the game. It just doesn't stand. It just didn't stand up. It just didn't stand out like that.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not their fault. It's really not their fault. It's just, I mean, well, actually, it is their fault because they developed the damn game. There's really no character with this title.
Yeah. So, but people went out there. It did make a little bit of Capcom, but not as much as Capcom thought it would have made. And now,
yeah, well, the problem with Capcom is that they really kind of overestimate how popular their IPs are. Their IPs, because they don't support them. I mean, like if Capcom was smart, they would friggin' have Final Fight would be a thing. Ghouls and Ghosts would be a thing. Let's see. 1944 would be a thing. Like they would have more than just the kind of bare bones stuff they've been doing. But no.
Yeah, you're right. Let me see.
You know, I mean, you might not like Nintendo because they don't make all the games people want them to make, but I mean, people like they haven't made an Earthbound game in years. So people know who Ness is. You know.
Hey, they only know Ness because they keep asking for him.
That's true.
They keep asking for the game.
But yeah, but it's still not true. At least through Smash Brothers. I mean, that's Smash Brothers introduced a lot of people to a lot of games that they never heard about.
I'm just saying that they have they still keep their IPs relevant, even though it doesn't seem like that because they aren't making them every year. We haven't had an F-Zero in years, but people know who Captain Falcon is. Yeah. And some people can recognize Samurai Goro, even though they haven't made those games in years.
Speaking about that, I wonder how well did the Earthbound got bought on the eShop back when it was on Wii
U? Probably all right. I mean, here's the thing. All they had to do was put it on the Wii U. It's not like they really had to make a new game from scratch. It was just a port of a ROM. They just dumped the ROM on there with some extra functionality because it's on a console, and that's it. I mean, it wasn't but it probably Earthbound is a niche franchise. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's I wasn't even going by sales. More like how many people were interested, or the ones that asked actually downloaded them.
Probably not that much. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it maybe sold 10 to 15% of the install base, so maybe 1.2, 1.3 million after all was said and done. Earthbound, here's the thing. People are vocal about Earthbound, but a lot of them won't. If Nintendo made a new Earthbound, they probably wouldn't buy it. Because they like the idea of Earthbound, but they won't buy the game. It's like people liked the idea of a new Star Fox, but when it came out, they didn't buy it.
Well, that was for people who beg for stuff. And
you know what? Speaking about that, how could someone actually? Okay, you call yourself a gamer, or you call yourself a Star Fox fan, and I'm pulling someone's leg here, but how can you not beat the first level with invincibility?
Well, that's why I said it when I was doing my podcast yesterday. I was like, it depends. Now, I said right now I'm looking at people playing the Kingdom Battle, and I'm seeing a lot of people getting their ass handed to them. So it's like, okay. But I said, and so some of these people were not like games. Someone's GameSpot, IG Game Radar, blah blah blah. So the regular Games Media, but there was some that got it that was not Games Media and seen it. So I was like, okay, but yeah, I know some of them can't play games that well. I didn't see nobody talked about. I don't go to that site that much either. Anyway, it pops up once in a while in the Google Plus with Polygon, but hey.
Yeah. Speaking about that, there was even tutorials in that Star Fox Zero game.
But every Star Fox game has had tutorials. Star Fox SNES had tutorials. Star Fox, it had training mode, which told you all the moves you need to know to get to the end of the game. Now, you might not be great at it, but you basically know the basic moves. 64 had a training mode. The GameCube one had a I'm talking about the mainline games, not the spin-off. So Dinosaur Planet, even though it kind of had a tutorial, I'm discounting that. Armada had a training mode.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, this Star Fox Zero's training mode was out from the outset. That you couldn't even think that I gotta play Star Fox 64 without doing the training mode.
Yeah, you could. In this one, you had to do it. So people were like, "I can't play it." That's on you. You couldn't play it. Well, okay then.
Yeah, on top of that, were those training modes that you could replay. By the time I went 2 plays each, I was already familiarized with the control. And mind you, this is a person over here that's basically a novice in the Star Fox franchise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like it. Controls were basically second nature.
Well, I mean, look, I have given a lot of thought to Star Fox Zero, and I've talked to people who played it and who actually own the game and played it, and I can pretty much tell you where I think Nintendo went wrong. / Platinum. They listened to the fans. No. Hear me out here. Star Fox, in my opinion, is at its best when it's just a simple rail shooter. Like nothing, no fanciness, no, we're gonna do all this awesome, cool stuff because people can't handle that. You can't. They just want a straight up rail shooter. Like that's my favorite interpretation of Star Fox, just a straight up rail shooter. All range mode was about all I could really tank. I was like, okay, cool. Now I can go in an arena and shoot things. Okay, that's cool. I think that when they started, changing that up, that kind of like a lot of people couldn't handle it. I personally was like, I like this game, but I can understand why people be like, man, I can't do it. It's too much. This is too hardcore. I get using this gamepad to aim. What the heck's wrong with that?
Yes. Give me a second. Basically, if you have Google Plus keys, I send you through the Google Plus. That's why it says if your notifications through there, that's what it is. If you can't get through the notifications, then I apologize. That's the only way I'm sending this thing to. I know Grim to send it to the chat and stuff, and you have that way, but I'm different from Grim, and I ain't doing that crap. I'm not sending it to the chat. I know how people act, and again, I don't like trouble nor drama from nobody. But Google Plus is what it is, mostly what I send it through. So check your Google Plus account if you have that. It should pop up because the icon does match your icon that I see. But I'll send it one more time again just in case. But going back to what you were saying, Red, that I mean, I like I said, I know a lot of people who play from this is my personal experience from, like I said, from my the cousin playing it, we and other thing like you're right that they listen to the fans because a lot of people also didn't want to just be Unreal, they want to be something else. But as and Triple M, as you got it because I bought it for you, it's like it's intuitive. I don't see the controls because again, if you could play Splatoon, you could play Star Fox Zero. And technically speaking, you didn't even need a second screen because again, I've showed when I was playing. With the video I did when I talked about how I updated the Wii U without installing Star Fox when I did it for Triple M Wii U. Like Shepard saw me play the game, and many people saw me game, but Shepard saw me play the game without me looking at the second screen. So
I think a lot of people just have weird preconceived notions that they wanted, because I'm going to keep it real. I'm one of those people. I'm an old school Star Fox fan. I was there at the beginning of the franchise on the SNES where they had that awesome commercial where the dude turned into a fox puppet by the end of it, and they were really pushing their FX chip and all that stuff. And personally for me, the original Star Fox, the style of game that was, that's my favorite style of Star Fox. I'm not really a fan of them hey, now it's got on foot missions. And if you're going to do that, but at its core, in my opinion, Star Fox just needs to be kind of a on-the-rail shooter. But I played Star Fox Zero. It's a fun game. And that's exactly what it is. It's fun. And a lot of people who are very vocal about wanting a new Star Fox game, they got practically every major thing they wanted, and they still bitched and complained and didn't buy it. So the only thing we can say is, Nintendo, don't listen to your fans, because the empty can rattles the loudest. Okay.
You're on for that.
I will say one thing. First time I played it, oh yes, it was definitely too hardcore. But hey, I get it's like you're not you can't call yourself a game if you don't have perseverance. And hey, it seems like I got perseverance.
No, man, it's not perseverance. You just like, okay, this game is hard right now. Because they're games that I couldn't beat when I was a kid. That now I come back to it later on, and I have no problem. Like when I was a kid, one of the games that I had was Lester the Unlikely. I couldn't beat that when I was a little kid. Now I can.
That was yeah. I remember you brought that up. That was just a mechanically weird game. That's just that one was.
Well, the problem with the game is that it's kind of designed as kind of like one of those European flashback Blackthorn style games. That's what it's designed as, but it's more of a platformer, except the controls are really bad.
Yeah, it was bad, but also you couldn't. Sometimes you right there at the edge, you try to do a jump to you could climb and you
fall and die. Yeah,
wouldn't recognize it. So
yeah, it was very badly. It was very badly done because their whole big thing is that they actually did they took pictures of people in various frames of movement, and then they digitized that into the game, and that's how they made the game. So the mechanics had to fit that weird thing, and so that's why the controls were so stiff. They get significantly better once you get halfway through the game and Lester rescues the girl and he can actually run and jump like a normal action character. But if you have the patience to get through that...
Okay, I was just going to say, you're a better man than me. I never got to that far.
Yeah. If you have the patience to get through that, it gets a lot better.
That is the magic word, patience. So
It's like those commercials. These like those commercials about bullying. It gets better. Yeah, it gets better. If you keep on playing, it gets better.
Oh, got you. So we got Keys and we got Dr. Feelgood joining in. So
welcome, y'all.
How's it going, Doc?
Yeah,
Doc, quit playing.
I know, right? I know,
right?
Dude, such addicted to that freaking game.
What's happening, fellas?
What's going on, Keys?
Hey, Keys.
How's it going?
Over here chilling, man. Hearing all this debacle about Capcom again.
That's the debacle between other people and all that stuff. I don't care for it. Can
we keep it real? At this point, Capcom has done this so many times. Is it really a debacle? It's more like it's them doing what they usually do.
Yeah, but Capcom is great.
Yeah, they're great when they were making their own games and doing other stuff, but they're not doing that no more. They're basically a port game now. They do ports. They don't barely do any of their new IPs or any of the old IPs. So
that's because ain't nobody trying to buy enough. That's what's going on.
Well, exactly.
Nobody trying to people want too much.
Resident 7 was not a good game, and nobody bought that thing. And Resident and Raccoon City, I know Grim say he likes that game, but other people beg to differ. And that game did not sell that well. And Revelations 2 also bite the dust. Didn't sell that well.
Well, that's because they took it away from the primary audience that it was built on. Because the first one did well on the 3DS. And then they put it on the PS4 and the PC.
And it went to all consoles. It went to everything.
Oh, yeah, they put it on the consoles, but it was built on the 3DS.
Up to the 3DS and the Wii U. Yep.
I played on the Wii U and it was not. It felt it didn't felt out of place to me. So, but like I said, is the Revelations 2 is where, like I said, they turned it from a full game to episodic. That's the same thing they did it with Hitman, and that also backfired.
That studio is
I need y'all gotta tell me something now. What can Capcom do that they can make that y'all can truthfully say that y'all would really buy?
Really, if you want to ask a question, the games that they had that was gonna port that basically. Okay, I'll be honest. I'll give you my answer because you know how I talk. I talk for me, myself, and I. I'm gonna buy Monster Hunter Stories when it comes out on 3DS. So that's one. I always said I was gonna buy it. I never said I was not because it looked intriguing to me, and I was gonna buy that. I would have bought the Disney collection if they had bought it to the Nintendo console because that game that game was those games were on Nintendo console. And again, I said I don't care if it was on the other consoles, but it's kind of weird that you omit that was made on the consoles, and you have prior data that shows that people like the DuckTales that you guys that you redid. DuckTales sold more on the Wii U, a failing consoles, everybody always call it, than the other consoles. And so, and same thing with Mega Man Collection. Mega Man Legacy Collection sold, the original one sold better in the 3DS than the other consoles. So why are you omitting Mega Man Collection 2 out of not putting on 3DS? So for me, and I know Grim say, he had his couple of people who got the whole F Capcom stuff. Again, I explained it to you when you was on the podcast last time. My F Capcom started back in 2006, but not in 2006 generation. But again, I've bought Capcom games. You just don't lie to me and you don't send me a broken game, I'll buy it. And technically speaking, Keys, I do have a video which I should have did up yesterday that I was gonna tag you in because you did brought up a point. You brought up the point about the third party and all that stuff, which I was trying to in that video explain that. Yeah, you're right about third party. I have more third party for my consoles than the Nintendo games, but best believe every game I bought, even with the Dreamcast, every console I bought from PlayStation up, I bought exclusive before I bought any third party game. I didn't buy no console for no third party games. That's me. So I needed to have something for like Dreamcast. I bought me Sonic Adventures, Skies of Arcadia, all that stuff. Like I bought that first for the Dreamcast. Then I got to play Marvel vs. Capcom and then Capcom vs. SNK and stuff like that. But same thing with Nintendo. I bought most of my Switch games was Switch games.
First party,
yeah. First party is always what makes me buy consoles.
But see, look, I need to know what would bring y'all excitement back for them again.
Good games.
I'll tell you
well, okay, I'll let these guys answer it.
I'll tell you what would do it for me. Capcom has this stable of awesome old school IPs, right? That they have done nothing with, or what they have done with them has been mismanagement, really. Like, instead of giving us a new Breath of Fire game, they made a mobile game.
Hey, look, you need to now stop there. They stopped making that damn Breath of Fire because people don't buy that damn thing.
Wait.
They stopped making Breath of Fire because they shat the bed with Breath of Fire 5.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Okay. Brett's giving you what will make him play the game. You said that nobody bought the game. I could Mega Man. I could get a bunch of IPs that nobody bought, but will make me happy to bring back. Basically, Turn 83 right now has Breath of Fire, Onishima, Rival Schools, Darkstalkers, Omega Man, Okami. Those are games that most of them didn't sell, but they'll be happy that if they make it and it isn't broken, that we'll play.
Yeah, I'm just simply saying that they have a stable of old IPs that they could definitely bring back. And here's the thing. I'm thinking, even from a business standpoint, they could go cheap and just like they could do a Final Fight trilogy. They could do a Final Fight trilogy for like $50.
Business standpoint. What you mean business standpoint? You trying to put them in a hole? What they gonna go mess around?
They're already in a hole.
I know what's wrong with me. I said,
but if you trying to put them even further in the hole, you trying to put them at the
I'm sorry. You're right. I can't believe why was I trying to think of a decent business solution that would be cheap and make the money and bring an old IP back?
There ain't no cheap now. There ain't no cheap. That ain't cheap. Well, you know how much it costs to do animation these days? Even if you're talking about pixel animation,
they already have the ROMs. All they'd have to do is just do a trilogy of Final Fight 1, 2, and 3.
Somebody got to plot that joint out. I mean, there ain't gonna be.
It's just code. They create a shell. They put the code.
What you mean? Just no code. Somebody got to plot that out, plan that out. Ain't just no code. They can't do that thing in like about 5 minutes. That take at least about 2 months to 5 months to do something like that.
But work for that is very cheap compared to doing.
But okay, let me put it this way. Here's the reason why I know they could do it, because they did the same thing on the PS3 for the Final Fight Magic Sword duology for the PS3, and that was last gen. So I know they could possibly do the same thing with a shell and then have the 3 games for like, yeah, and it might be 3 months of work, but that's cheaper than making a new game or porting a AAA game to another console. So, I mean, you're talking something that would maybe cost them maybe at the highest in $300,000 for maybe a team of 5 or 6 people to work for 2 or 3 months to do that.
Nah, I'm not gonna say it's not a bad idea.
I don't think it would cost that much because think about it. They sell it for $15, $20. You get maybe all 3 games, maybe with some bennies, like some character art, maybe some character bios.
Sell it for 60.
I'll boost it for 30.
For three old games. Okay,
wait a minute. These is not old. If you taking these games and you making new stuff out of it. Now, if I take something and I take my old my assets and I make a new game out of it, that is not old. That's new.
I mean, to keep it real, Ultimate Street Fighter 2 Final Edition until they release it on something else is basically an old port of an old port of an old port, and they sold it for $39.99. So I mean, it still wasn't a full price game. Considering that that's just Street Fighter 2 basically highly HD. It seems fair for if they did a Final Fight 3 game trilogy, because no one wants to admit that Streetwise ever existed. I
don't know, but that was on low level.
Give me a second.
Okay, let me put it this way: $30 would be acceptable if they added enough. If they added another. Maybe if they added the ability for you to use Street Fighter characters, Final Fight characters from other games from other Final Fights in like you could use maybe Dean from Final Fight 3 and Final Fight 1, or Guy from Final Fight 3 in Final Fight 2, something like that, then I'd be like, okay, that's new coding. But if they're just porting the games into a shell, I would say 20 would be a good price point, because, like I said, if they're spending $300,000 for 3 months for people to work for 3 months on this, and they sell it for $20 and it sells $1.5 million, right there they've made off of a $300,000 investment. They've made 300 times 300,000, $20 times 2 million. That's 40 million right there. Off of a $300,000 investment.
We not in the magical land of Disney, so let's come back down to earth. Look,
okay, 5 million, 1 million.
I can give an example, like the example I gave with Gunho with Puzzles and Dragons, when they did the game for the 3DS, and they did the game for 3DS. They basically did a game. And it took them, as Red said, it took them all. They have the assets, like assets and stuff like that. To do the game was $250,000, and they made 10 million off of it. That's the investment that they did. That's a good gamble that they took, and they make $10 million off of 3DS by doing that game.
Now, why they don't make a new one then?
They did. Huh? They made a Puzzle and Dragons Z.
They're making another one?
There's a sequel to Puzzle and Dragons on the 3DS.
I know.
Puzzle and Dragons Z.
I'm talking about are they making another one after that?
Well, I don't know about that. I know they got.
I don't know if they're gonna make a third one, but they made a second one. I mean, shit. I mean, they made money off of it because that's why they made a sequel.
Now, the Puzzles and Dragons was pretty popular. That was a mobile game. I mean,
but we were just giving you an example of what using assets, and you take the chance of doing it. I mean, not even that. Like, look what NT Creates did with Master Zero.
Yep.
Now look. Now let me go back on Capcom. Right now, let's just say if Capcom took the route and said, "Well, you know what? We ain't gonna make no more 3D games. We just gonna only make 2D games, right?" Would y'all buy the games then?
It's not because it's the 2D. I don't care for that stuff. Just give me a good game without no BS. I don't give a damn for me.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, look, It costs too much to make the 3D games. It's too much.
I'm asking you a question down to the general basics, Key. I'm saying just give me a good game. I'm not even. It could be 3D, could be 2D, it could be a puzzle game, it could be not a puzzle game. You give me a good game without a bunch of BS to it, and it's not broken, I'll buy it. I am buying. Like again, I am buying. I've seen nothing so far that makes me say I'm not buying Monster Hunter Generations stories. Generation stories. Nothing has come up to them to make me say it look like it's broken. It's not taking the time with it. It's nothing that make me say I'm not buying that game so far yet. I'm gonna buy it. It looks interesting to me, and I'm gonna get it. And it's a Capcom game.
Now, what about everybody else?
That's why I said I can't speak for everybody else, Keys. I will speak for me.
No, I know that's why I'm asking. I'm
okay.
asking everybody.
Yeah, I would. That would be back on my radar, even if it is just a 2D game.
Yeah, I do plan on getting Monster Hunter Stories because it's different.
Now I got another question for you. Now let's just say it's 2D game, but they're gonna charge $60 a pop.
If the game's worth it, I'll buy it. I get it.
If there's enough content, look, I don't care if something's a 3D or a 2D game. If there's enough content commensurate to what, to what's there.
Now, if it's 2D game, how much content would y'all require to pay $60?
It depends on the genre and what type of game it is. For example, if you're charging someone $60 for a 3D game that is that has maybe 10 hours of content, that's a problem.
Now, would you pay? Let's just say they made Final Fight 4, right? Final Fight 4, and it's just like the original Final Fight, right? Same length of time and everything, and they charge $60 for it. Would you be fine with that?
It depends on what bennies are in the game. If it's a straight up arcade style game where you just go around beating up people where they haven't evolved the formula whatsoever, that's a little too much.
Little like the original Final Fight.
If they haven't evolved the formula beyond what they did with the original Final Fight, and they want to charge people $60 for it, that's a little too much to me.
Now you see if you think that's too much, right? Why back then would you pay all the money for it, but now you wouldn't? I mean, why shouldn't it still be the same?
Because
the
industry has to move forward, and we've seen examples of beat 'em ups that are throwbacks to old school beat 'em ups that aren't the same price. For example, Double Dragon 4 from Arc System Works. That game is like $20. I want to say $15-$20. I mean, the Double Dragon on the NES, and it's in the NES style. Double Dragon on the NES was like a $39 game, which if you adjust for inflation now would be like $60. But they're not charging people $60 now for a game that's basically the same as what they've had before.
Now,
because they didn't move it forward.
I'm sure y'all bought Final Fight, around Super Nintendo era. That game was at least about $50-$60 at the time. I'm sure, right?
When it was new, it was
like
64, 65, and then with Final Fight 2, because they got a bigger cart, it was like $70, and Final Fight 3.
Right. And when you bought it when everybody got it at that time, we was all happy with it, right? Hey, we all loved it. Why can't they make the same game now? But just call it Final Fight.
Because back then that was the pinnacle of technology. Back then, that's what we had to work with. If you're asking why would we pay the same for it now, would you go back and pay $500 for a black and white TV today?
I wouldn't mind. If they came out with a black and white TV and that joint was $500, I would buy it.
I'm sure you would.
Because if you think about it, right, how come? That's why I'm speaking with these games. I think that all the games should still be. Actually, I think the 3D games should cost more. These games that y'all getting right now, they should be at least about $200 per game.
Well, you know what? No, that's you can say that, and I wouldn't even argue that point. The problem is, can you get the typical average Joe to spend $200 on the game?
Ask Neo Geo. the game people that play these games do not appreciate them. They do not appreciate the value of it, so they don't want to pay.
No, that's not true.
Well,
They don't.
Because people, no, they appreciate a game. They appreciate their
They
own type
don't
of
pay
game.
for it.
I appreciate a complete game. A game that's not broken. A game that's not full of
Well,
bugs.
I mean, look, you're saying that the people don't appreciate the games, but that's not entirely true. The companies themselves don't appreciate the games because they devalue their own games.
If you paid for it back then, but see, the difference was when you were younger, you wasn't buying it.
Well, let's
parents
keep it
was
real.
buying
Most people when they were younger, they weren't buying the games.
Their
And
parents
I'm
was buying it.
gonna keep it real. My parents used fucking layaway, so no one was paying $60 a pop for these
But
games. They were
still,
maybe
but still, they got
$60 over 3 or 4 months
They
until
got it.
Christmas.
No, Reverend was on layaway at night. They still got it for you.
But no one was doing that. But
My question is, what is the relevance of this topic?
The reason why I'm saying it is that, I mean, like people going at Capcom and saying, you know, Capcom crappy and all that stuff. I mean, Capcom ain't doing nothing different than they've been doing all this time. They just trying to find a way to get y'all to pay. And people don't want to pay, so they gonna keep doing what they do.
Okay, so I have an analogy for you. If I know, let's say you owned a deli, you owned a sandwich shop, and I know that you make a quality sandwich. Let's say my favorite sandwich costs $5. You've been making this sandwich since I was little. If 10 years later you still own this deli, you still got your bills, you still make this sandwich, and now I come up there to get the same sandwich. Let's go ahead and amount for inflation. Now it's $8. But now for $8, I don't get, all the fixings I used to get. You give me the same sandwich, but now it's no veggies and no cheese, just meat. You think that's fair? Should I get less of what I got before and yet pay more for it? No one's going to think that's a fair deal. I have nothing against Capcom personally. But I had the same issue with them as I do with third parties today. We're getting less game today than we did 10, 15, 20 years ago. But they still want their full price you paid 10, 15, 20 years ago. And that's bullshit.
No, what game are you getting half of the day?
I'm speaking in general. But okay, even Red Fox said we all said it. At the end of the day, even Ultra Street Fighter 2, that is a fucking port. It is an optimized port. No matter what you say about that game, it is a port.
It's a port of a port of a port.
How is it a port when it has more stuff in it than before? It's not just a port.
Oh, so you saying ports never have extra content? They never do.
It's an enhanced port.
It's not just a port.
It's an enhanced port, but it's still a port of a port of a port because.
At the end of the day, the game was, even though the game was optimized for the Switch, it was still a game that existed before. They ported it and added content. Just like they ported Power Stone over to the Vita, it's still a port.
Well, Power Stone on the Vita is no different than Power Stone on the Dreamcast. There's no difference with that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if there's a difference or not. Whether you enhance it or not, you can add stuff to it. They add stuff to games they port more times than not. Just because it's not an identical port, but even still, we've seen this game before. We've seen this game for the last 15 years.
The game has the HD textures. The game has the Hadouken mode. But at the end of the day, the game
they should charge $60 for it. They should charge the same as they did back on Super Nintendo. Why make it cheap?
Well, okay. Hold up, because I was how to take care of some stuff. So
the game is a triple port.
Okay.
I mean, my thing is though, was Super Street Fighter a port? Super Street Fighter 2, the Turbo Edition, and all that back in the day. They were all.
Those were all.
They
were slightly enhanced ports.
They brought it.
Okay, wait. Let one person at a time, man. It's getting a little too ridiculous.
All I'm saying is this, right? I don't remember a time where even if you did think it was a port, I could have sworn everybody loved all them different renditions of Street Fighter 2.
They sure did.
So what's the problem if it is a port? That's what I'm trying to understand. Is the game bad? Is bad or something?
My comment was not aimed at saying the game is bad. I even say I like Capcom games. I'm a huge Capcom fan. I still am to this day. But he was talking about why aren't we paying the same thing we paid back then? And I said, well, hey, if you're getting less content than you did back then, why for the same game, why would you pay more? I understand it's an enhanced port. I plan on actually buying the game. But I would agree with most people. I don't think it's worth $40. $30, yes. I'll pay $20-$30 for it because at the end of the day, it is still just. I mean, there are better fighters out there. To be honest, Guilty Gear on the PS1 is a better fighter to me.
Yeah.
So, what I respect Street Fighter. I still have Street Fighter Collection on the Sega Saturn. I still have all the Alpha games. I even have the EX games. At the end of the day, I got 3 for the Dreamcast, all 3 of them. So, at the end of the day, I understand this is a good game. I understand it really has no issues. It has extra features, extra textures, all that. It's still a ported game. It is still a port, regardless of the enhancements it received. And $40, it wasn't a terrible price. But to me, I can get better fighters for cheaper than that. I really can.
Yeah, I mean, listen. It's not that it's a bad port or it plays poorly or anything. It's not like Modern Warfare 2, the separate game that's been put on consoles and PC that's like broken as hell. But it's not a port of that nature. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's based off of the HD remaster that was done for the PS3, which itself was based off of the PS2 Street Fighter 2. I think it was the remaster they did for the PS2. So, which itself is just a port of the games that came out, years before on the 16-bit console. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look, I have the game. I love Street Fighter 2. It's one of my favorite fighters of all time. But I mean, it would be kind of disingenuous to charge people $60 for what is essentially
they made Street Fighter
of a port.
They made Street Fighter 6, right? And Street Fighter 6 look like Street Fighter 2, but they got new characters. Will you pay $60 then?
I mean, for me personally, I actually like the cell shaded graphics of Street Fighter 2, but I know some people are going to want Unreal.
Wait. Okay. So
cell shaded.
Wait. Keys asked a question, and then the simplest answer is this: the market will not let it be what it is. Gamers ain't gonna pay for it. Yeah. You know it, Keys. They're not gonna pay for it.
But see, that's the issue.
I answered from my own personal.
He answered personally, but I'm talking about
personally. I would enjoy that. The industry, people are going to say, "Well, this is Street Fighter 6. It's not like the Street Fighters we've been playing." As an old school Street Fighter fan, I hate the modern Street Fighters. I think they're garbage. But I mean, a lot of people they like Street Fighter 4 and 5. I personally think they're garbage, but some people like them. So, I mean, that's what they're going to expect. This, Unreal Engine fighting games that are really, really slow. That's what they're going to like. I personally don't like it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, right, I'm staying to what Keys asked the question. The market would not, people would not buy it. Just like when DuckTales Remastered came out, nobody would have bought that. Like I said, I could have bought it. Most of these people, I bought the game physically and digitally. I bought the game twice, so it basically came out to be $40 because it was a $20 game. I would have bought it and enjoyed it, but there are a lot of people. You right now, you go to $65 and get angry, and now it's bad enough people doing all this stuff for some of these developers and publishers game people to spend $200 Final Fantasy 15 and Mortal Kombat X and all that stuff. They get figures and all kind of stuff in there, and only a selective few people buy that stuff. It's the market that runs that problem, not the game. No, the gamers. Let me put it this way. Yes, the market runs it, but the gamers, they talk, but they don't back up what they're gonna say.
And to be honest, the PlayStation fan base is not me throwing shade, but they're a prime example of that. And even Xbox fan base. Look at all the hype that was surrounding Sunset Overdrive. Did anybody buy it?
Well, we could say the same. We could say the same thing for the Nintendo fan base. Star Fox came out, they didn't buy it.
Nope.
They hype it up, but they don't buy it. But it happens more so with a lot of franchises that appear on those other consoles. It really does. How many games were hyped up to shit, whether it be from E3 or whatever, announcement was made, and then when the game comes out, it barely sells 1 million, if that, but they spent 40, 50, 60, $100 million.
And that's the only franchise in marketing.
Isn't that an unfair comparison though?
Okay, how is it, Grim? I want you to.
Because to say the systems that get more games, there's a higher chance that most of those games didn't succeed. But it's because it has more games coming to it.
Wait. So okay. Because they have more games on the PlayStation and Xbox. Let's just call the consoles for what they are. Those system has more games. They have a higher chances to succeed. Right?
It's like saying this, right? I'm not saying it has a higher chance to succeed or fail. What I'm saying is this, right?
Okay.
If you own a store, right? Mm-hmm. You just own a store. I own a mall which has multiple stores in it. I have a higher chance of stores succeeding and failing because I have more stuff to worry about. You just have to worry about your store. You understand what I'm saying? So if the PS4 and Xbox One get more games coming to it, well, it may have more games that succeed.
The law of large numbers doesn't apply here because regardless of whether they have a lot more games,
that's what we weren't talking about. We weren't talking about how many games are coming to the consoles. We were talking about people who hype up certain games on those consoles.
Yeah, and they don't succeed.
They don't sell. But here's the thing. That's something that any console, whether it has a large install base or a small install base, or a lot of games or a few games, has those issues where people are like, man, this game's going to be hot fire. It's going to be awesome. And it comes out. And the people who are
that's fine.
I know what you're saying, Graham.
But what was said was that those systems have more of that happening. Well, wouldn't that make sense when they have more games?
Well, it's not about the frequency of it happening. It's not really about that they have more that flop. I'm comparing the fact that a lot of these gamers for these systems, these fans that hype up their favorite piece of plastic, they hype up these games a lot and then they do not buy.
Yeah.
That's cool, but you also said it happens more over in the other systems, right? Compared to Nintendo.
Did we say it didn't happen? We said that it happens on all the. It happens on PC. It happens on PC.
I said it happened more so. But if you want to go by ratio, the ratio would be it happens more so on those systems. Now you can try to justify by saying, well, they have more games, but even still, they also have more gamers.
Yeah.
So in that same vein, they have more games, they have more gamers. So how do you have a larger fan base and it flops?
Well, hold on. I'm just saying, right, that by you saying, well, it happens more over there, right? That's why I said what I said. I don't know if Mr. Red Fox heard you say that part, right? Now, going to what you said about, what did you just say? You just said it has more. We have more gamers, right? Which means, I guess you're trying to say they shouldn't fail. But again, if you have more gamers and more games, mean more options for the consumer to choose from, right? Well, yeah, you're at a bigger gamble and risk because now there's so many different people with so many different tastes. Whereas if you have a system with not that many options,
but that's not the case, though, is it? Because let's be honest.
Why is it not the case?
Well, because let's look at these two systems. I will put money on this. The typical gamer of the Xbox One, the PS4, I bet you most of them will own at least 3 out of 5 games I'm going to mention. They're going to own Madden. They're going to own 2K, whether it be 2K basketball or 2K wrestling. They're going to own that. They're going to own the next Call of Duty. They're going to own the next Battlefield. They're going to own 3 out of those 4 games. All of them, whether they're big fans of them or not, but they're going to own those games. Why? Because those are popular games. Most of the people that buy those games, they buy it just because it's the game to have. It's the it game. Everyone's going to get it at launch. Everyone's going to play it at launch. Biggest population of people online. That's it. How many PS4 owners actually ran out and bought Uncharted 4 before the bundle? A little bit over 4 million.
I mean, that's hard to say because I think that bundle came out like really fast after it released. That's kind of hard to even compare.
Yeah, but
that bundle came out quick.
But before the bundle, it sold just over 4 million. Then when the bundle came out, of course, and the price dropped, it went up to 8 million. But even still, this is an established franchise, an established IP, hyped up the shit. But before the bundle, it sold less than 10% of the install base. But if you didn't know any better, you think the whole PlayStation fan base is going to buy this damn game, at least a good chunk of it.
I don't know why you would think that. Like, with 60 million PS4 sold, who would ever think any game would sell close to that? Like, even the games that did do stuff like that, like let's say Wii Sports, well, that was bundled. Let's not count that. Well, Mario Kart, that got bundled. That got bundled as well. That's hard to say. See, that's what I'm saying. Even games that got close to it, I don't know ones that got close to it that weren't bundled, right? But let's just say they hypothetically weren't bundled, right? That's a rarity. That's not common. It's not a common thing to happen. That's almost damn near a stroke of luck. Uncharted selling a game selling almost half or close to half, just at least close to half of the entire install base at the time. Unless that system has a very low install base, that's the only way that would.
No, but it speaks volumes to the type of gamer that actually plays on, buys and plays.
And
Because okay, here's a fine example. All right, and you can, and of course, I know the typical excuses out there that people are going to use to combat this, but here goes. Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was pretty much the Nintendo Switch's only major AAA title at launch, but here in America, they sold more games than it is systems. Overall, worldwide, it's about 80% attach rate. 80%. And even look at Mario Kart 8 back on the Wii U, the floundering system. People say it's Nintendo's biggest failure, even though it's not. Mario Kart 8 sold to over half the install base of the Wii U. It's almost 9 million units sold to 15 million Wii U's.
Mario Kart 8 was also bundled.
It was bundled. You're right. It wasn't bundled at launch.
What do you mean? Yeah, it was. Wait,
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
No, hold on. How long? Oh, you might be right, but how long after it came out where there's that? Because I had the Mario Kart 8 bundle. I still got the box over here. It's
No, it was bundled. It was bundled at Christmas time.
Like 6
it
months,
took
2
about
years
6 months.
It was bundled. It was bundled
It
6
was the
months.
holiday season. Yeah, it was the holiday season. They did.
That's
They
all.
did.
And it got bundled twice because it got
But
bundled
even
the first time. and the second
okay, you're right. Okay, let's check out the bundle. Let's go by the first weekend then. It sold 1.2 million in the first 3 days.
That's cool.
1.2 million, and when it came out, there wasn't 14 million we used in the market. It was probably around like 9 or 10. So you still sold to 10% on a floundering console. 10% just on the release
I doubt
weekend.
that number.
Hold on, wait a minute. You said it sold 1 point whatever. What did you say in the first 2 days or whatever?
The first 3 days, it sold 1.2 million.
1.2 million, and they had an install base of what at the time?
Probably around like what 9-10 million. Could it release in 2014?
But that's not a lot though.
Dude, that's 10% of the install base.
No,
What PS4 game is doing that?
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. The install base is 9 to 10 million. That's not a lot of people compared to
Dude,
Sony's 60
I'm not-
million.
You see,
That's what I'm saying.
That's the problem you're dealing with right now. See, you're going by the larger number. I'm going by percentages, ratio. That is something that is.
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying though. It's easier to hit that number when you don't have as a big of install base.
No, it's not.
Why is it not?
Dude, okay. So you mean to tell me it's easier for the Wii U, for any Wii U game to sell 1 million or 2 when the install base is not that big compared to
I
that
didn't say
60
that.
million install base?
I didn't say that. What I'm saying is this, right? Let's just say, all right, a system comes out, and when do we normally get the first couple of sales? And we know the install base. When at the month, a year, what is it? What's the number?
Typically, it's every month or every quarter.
Okay, so let's just say 1 million people buy the Switch in the first month. I don't know the real number. This is hypothetical, right? And Breath of the Wild sells 1 million. Let's just say, 1 million, right? So pretty much everybody that bought the Switch bought Breath of the Wild with the Switch, right? Okay. It reached to, let's just say 100% install base. That's great. But in perspective, 1 million people is not a lot of people. The system just came out. As time goes on, that it's not going to be 100% anymore, unless everybody continuously is still buying Breath of the Wild with the Switch every single time.
I'm not saying it's going to maintain the number. I don't think.
I'm not saying it's maintain. I'm just saying it's easier to hit that number when the install base is smaller and the game is extremely popular. It's just like the Vita, right? What is it? 12 million people got a Vita, right?
Okay. So
12 million people got a Vita, right? I'm pretty sure if there was a great game on the Vita, that everybody and their mother eventually, when they buy a Vita, pick it up, right? And that eventually reaches close to the install base. Yeah, that happens over time and all that stuff. But in perspective, it's like 12 million is not that much.
But Mario Kart 8 launched on the Wii U almost 2 years later after its launch. But you know what game came out right after the PS4 launch that was actually a very hyped up title? Infamous Second Son. What does it sell so far?
It's never been a huge seller. Never.
No, I said it's a hyped up title. I didn't say it was a huge seller. Hype and huge seller are two different things.
I understand that, so that's what I'm trying to get. What you're getting at? I mean, hype has nothing to do with any of that.
What I'm saying is this: a lot of games on the PS4 and Xbox One, they're hyped up to shit by the fans. The fans talk all this shit about how good a game is, how good it looks, how they're gonna buy, how the game got their attention, but then they don't buy it.
Okay.
That is something that happens more so than not on the other two consoles. The reason why is because everyone on those two consoles basically buys the same damn games. They buy the newest 2K, they buy the newest Madden, the newest Call of Duty, the newest Battlefield. Those 4 games and Grand Theft Auto 5. Those 4 games basically run the entire console base. Because, okay, when you got your third-party games outselling your first-party games damn near 10-1 in almost every scenario. Every scenario. And remember, you should know this: third-party games, they get very little of that money. Very little goes in their pocket. The console maker, Microsoft and Sony get most of that money. They get tidbits of that. Tidbits. The only benefit, the only benefit they get out of a game like Grand Theft Auto 5 selling well, they get the benefit of getting a higher install base, more than likely. But they get very little money out of that, because even for a first-party title, Nintendo gets roughly $48 out of every first-party title back in their pocket. Out of 60, they get back about $45, $48.
If it's physical.
I'm sorry, physical. Sorry about that.
If it's digital, they get.
So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, right? Every game they get paid licensing fees, the console manufacturer, for someone putting their game on their system, right?
12.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much would you say that is?
That's in the message.
How much would you say that is?
12.
Probably about no more than
like 12. No, I'm saying like a dollar amount.
Yeah, that's why. That's why.
Like $12, right?
Yes.
So you're telling me that Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, right, is getting, like, let's just say roughly $12 from what, a $60 game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And basically all they have to do is pretty much just allow them to put it on there, basically, and they get that $12, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which means that Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft pretty much do no work other than allowing the game to be on there. Sony and Microsoft at this day and age, they really don't care if the game is functional or not. So it's not even like they're even doing some top quality control. So they're just collecting $12 for every sale, right?
You have to diminish the amount that they're getting, because Sony and Microsoft have certain
for advertising.
They have certain deals that they've made with
certain games, but let's just keep it simple.
It ain't every single game.
Yeah, let's just keep it simple.
It ain't every single game. So
yeah,
the $12, right?
Yeah,
so I'm just saying, simple. I'm asking you guys, right? If you were a console manufacturer, right? And let's even rule out the whole. I mean, we don't have to rule it out, but if we even ruled out the whole, well, there are certain cases where they pay or do deals with these developers, right?
Again, $12. Keep it simple.
Wouldn't you want more games on your system where you're just collecting money from them just because it's on there, than have less games and you collect money? Wouldn't you want more to collect from people?
Okay, because this is getting crazy. So the answer to your question is, Grim, you're talking about for the money case for what it is. Yes, the answer to your question is yes. Now, Sony and Microsoft depend on that more because they don't have first party, where we just explained to you how the $40 to $60 with digital for Nintendo, knowing that Nintendo knows that they have. If you're going to use if you're going to be splitting the different consoles, if you just straight up just without that, then okay. But they know people know we buy Nintendo consoles for Nintendo games. That's mostly what Nintendo makes their money. And like I said, the video was going to I should have uploaded last night, which I didn't. I'm going to upload it.
See, it ain't used to be like that though. Yeah, y'all know that. Y'all know back in the day, it wasn't like that. We bought all them games back then. We ain't
wait. Let me listen to what Keys say. Repeat what you just said, Keys.
I said, good and well, back then we bought all those games. We ain't buy no damn first. Man, we ain't know what a damn first party was. All we knew was we buying.
As a little kid, wait. As a little kid.
What he's saying is that not that we only bought Nintendo games, but you don't buy a Nintendo console for third-party content. You buy Nintendo console because the first-party content is not going to be anywhere else.
Keys,
Hell no, we ain't buying no Nintendo.
You didn't buy it, Keys. My family, my mom bought me Mario. When she bought the Nintendo, she bought Mario and Duck Hunt. She didn't buy no third-party because she didn't know what that was. She know Nintendo made Mario and Duck Hunt, and we played it. She bought it for that, and most parents did the exact same thing. Back to when we had an argument, when we had a discussion when I was in France, when we said the same thing about the whole Rob the Robot thing. People bought what was there offered right there, which was first party at first.
Yeah, I look, I know that.
Okay.
But we all eventually bought all them third party games, and if it wasn't for third party, Nintendo wouldn't be here today.
You do realize that when you sell your own business to people, it's very profitable.
What'd you say?
Nintendo, basically, how can you say Nintendo wouldn't be here if it wasn't for third party?
It wouldn't.
When they have sold, if you look at 10, hell, I say top 20 best-selling games of all time, most of them are not third party.
If
and
that's
most
the case,
of
why would they even put them? Why would they?
Can I say something real quick, Keys?
All right, go ahead.
Can I say something real quick, Keys? Y'all, you know, you guys realize Nintendo was third party, right?
When they did arcades?
No, when they also put games on consoles, and they were
Atari, the
Donkey Kong.
Atari port of Donkey Kong.
Yeah, they were third party at once, and
okay, so you're relevant to that will be what, Grim?
To say that if it wasn't for third party, that Nintendo wouldn't be here. I get what Keys is saying. I mean, they were third party at a point in time.
Huh?
The money they made, the money they made, the lessons they learned. Like, it's like people run down the third parties and they forget Nintendo was third party.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Wait, let me ask you a question.
They're not talking about Nintendo made.
I'm asking this question to Grim. Exactly.
I'm just asking. I'm just saying this so you can understand me, because I don't think you understand. I'm saying Nintendo once was third party, right? That's what they were at a point in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's what Keys is saying. I'm saying that I understand what Keys' point is, right? Because just like when Nintendo was third party and they were beneficial to whoever console they were on, because Donkey Kong was one of the hottest games ever. I don't see.
It was the hottest game. It's so look, but Donkey Kong's okay. This is that's what. Okay, I'll let you finish, Grim. I want to answer.
I'm just saying I don't see why people are belittling the third party games. I don't get that.
Okay, you want to? And I have to do about the third party thing. There's a reason why I believe the third party game, and also there's objective and factual why people why third party games get belittled. But you said that Nintendo was third party with Atari. They did a port from their popular game Donkey Kong, which sold way more an arcade and on the NES, if you want to go all together, than an Atari, right?
Okay.
And then they took their own system and went first party.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, they did. In other words, so they did not need to be Atari. They put it because Atari wanted more games from arcades on there, but that's small significant money they made from the Atari.
The what?
You ask. Okay. Let me slow down again. Nintendo was third party, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nintendo when Donkey Kong was the third party port to the Atari, Nintendo made way more money as the arcade than they made on Atari. Okay. So that game became a big thing because of the arcade more than the port. Just like Pac-Man was more of an arcade than the port for Atari. They made the money there. They took that money and turned it into a console and put it on their console. Did they not?
Okay. They put it on the NES.
Okay.
So basically what he's saying is
I'm saying they didn't need that money.
Why wouldn't they need that money?
Because they were making more profit off of
their own stuff.
What does that mean? So what? They were making more profit. Were they not making money off the Atari version?
Okay,
no,
but you
said that they needed third parties to become what they are.
Hold on, wait a minute. Key said that they need third party, and to be honest with you, I agree with that. I
agree. Look, but
but my point wasn't really towards that. I was just saying I understand what Keys is saying, and I was also saying by me bringing up that Nintendo was third party at once as a reminder, right? It's because, like I just asked, I don't understand why people belittle the third party, and a lot of people that do that really like Nintendo. And I'm like, Nintendo was third party. I can only imagine if they were still third party.
Well, okay,
no matter how good they would be. Let's just say Nintendo never went first party. They never made a console, but they still made these great, amazing games. The same games you know today. I can still see that because they're not for. It's like a third party issue or something. I have no idea what that is.
You just did a paradox right there, Grammy. You know
it wasn't a paradox.
You just did.
Why would it be a paradox?
Because it didn't happen. You give a theory of if they went that way, they didn't went that way.
I didn't say no. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying because even if we stick to
let Graham finish.
If we stick, I mean, they are still doing third party.
They put something on the phone.
They put stuff on the phone. But anyway, hold on.
Oh wow, so you're gonna go? Okay, go ahead.
But that is third party. Anyway, if we ignore all that, right? What I'm saying is the distaste for third party is odd when Nintendo was third party at a point in time. Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't get it.
If I can interject with that, I think the distaste from Nintendo fans towards third party comes from recent generations. It comes from the 5th gen. It comes from the 6th gen. It comes from the 7th gen. Hell, even the 8th gen. It comes from those gens. The reason why is because we all know, you can go back and look at history. Nintendo went to third parties when it came to the GameCube. They went to third parties. They gave third parties exactly what they wanted. They gave this mini DVD medium. They made it where it's almost impossible to hack, possible to hack the thing or whatever. They did all this stuff, and yet they still turned their backs on them. Even with the Wii did get some third-party support. We can all say that, but not nearly as much as it should have gotten. It was easy to develop for. It used DVDs, but if you think about the amount of most of third-party support that came on the Wii U, not all, most of it, we can say a decent amount of it was shovelware. They just saw it on the Wii, because even though some games may have sold 1 million copies or whatever, most of third parties put games on their system that this is beyond. They were just whacking shit. They weren't even trying most of the time.
Or they were PS2, or they were PS2 ports.
I just asked. Okay, go ahead.
But and then on top of that, of course, you know what happened to Wii U. They said they were on board in the beginning. They all turned their backs on them. They didn't even give the system really a chance, except for a few of them. They didn't really give it a chance. EA turned their backs immediately. But you look at this, but then you look at these third parties and how even when the Xbox 360 launched, they were all on board and they didn't leave. When the Xbox One launched, even though there was a massive backlash, did you hear about any third party saying, well, no, we can't develop for them. We can't put this game on the system because of power or because of this or because of that? They still stuck around given the backlash the system got. Even though the PS4 was taking off and outselling that ass, they still stuck with it, and almost every game hit the PS4 also came to the Xbox One. So how is it that you are willing to stick around with these systems with virtually no install base, and or you got serious backlash from the fans, but yet you will leave Nintendo in the dust for whatever reason, making up lies left and right, and then having to backpedal and tell the truth in a later interview once you leave that company or whatever? It leaves a bad taste in the mouth. It's like when someone lies to you, just like what Shadow Fox always say, you say you can't port to the Wii U because of power, then you put the shit on the damn iPad. There's a lie somewhere. You can't claim you go on the system, but you put a game on the iPhone.
What is that? What is that example of?
What are you talking about?
What game did they say they couldn't put on the Wii U, but they put on the iPad? What game is that?
I haven't bought any of those games.
No, I'm saying
what game
are you talking about?
He asked what game is that?
I don't know exactly what game it is.
Well, how you know that? Because Shadow Fox is cool. Shadow Fox is one of the most intelligent people in the community. Me and him are very tight, but he's not always right. What game is he talking about?
I never.
Because the only thing I know that he could be talking about is the Frostbite engine. But EA never put the Frost. They said they could, and they still haven't because they probably can't. Okay. That's the only thing I know that he could be possibly referring to.
But I never say he's always right. But
I'm not saying that.
Okay, wait.
I do.
Wait, man, chill. Okay. the conversation is going away from what we asked, what Grim asked for initially started with, which is that's what's going on right now. And going back for what Key said. Now, this is basically what history we have gone through right now with Nintendo. Okay, Nintendo needed third parties and the NES and the Super NES because third parties basically didn't have a lot of places to go other than Amiga or maybe some Sega or PCs at the time. That's what they had. So Nintendo became a force because back in the console because they sneak in as a toy and everybody liked it. They put in the console, everybody liked. So yes, third parties helped Nintendo out in what Key's original question was. Right, Keys? That's what you asked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo, so third party.
They helped them out. No, they ain't help them out. Nintendo needed them.
That's what I meant. Okay. They needed them. They needed the third parties because there were a lot of third parties on the NES and Super NES.
Right? Yeah, they need them. Yeah, they couldn't survive without their own game.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. All right. As Doc alluded later on, where a lot of Nintendo fans and I alluded to you when we had the podcast when it was the random talks about invited you on, Keys, the first time I was in France. The third parties. Again, I can't speak for all Nintendo fans because they do what they gotta. They do what they do. I was already told you already, but there are reasons when the GameCube is the best and is the best example of Nintendo. Yamauchi told third party, okay, you guys didn't like the 64. Okay, what do you guys want with our next console? We had a third party. This is the first time, and I'm sorry, Grim, that's why I did my videos. That's the only time a third party came in and helped Nintendo develop a console. And our Factor 5, Julian Egbert's team. They helped because they did reverse engineering for the 64 when Nintendo messed up on the 64. They're the only time that they came in and helped design and the audio chip, everything like that with the GameCube. Yamauchi asked everybody, "What you guys want for the Nintendo GameCube?" They said they don't want games to get they didn't want the games to be pirated. They don't want the games to be pirated because PlayStation and Dreamcast games could be pirated very easily. And I know because I bought a couple of those things for when I was in college. I bought them. I bought the true games after because I felt bad doing that because me being in the industry too, in music and in gaming, I don't want nobody. I want people. You work so hard, you get your full money. But they went that way, so that's what they give the micro disc, and they gave the mini disc, and also it was burned outside in instead of inside out. It was a different way, so they doubled the way that they have that. They went out and gave Capcom. They went out and gave Capcom money to make games for their console, and Capcom took that money and put it on other consoles. That's an exclusive deal. I have no problem with it because, again, I really didn't care that much in that regard. But I feel bad that if I give you money, Keys, to do a game, and I give you a game, and you put it on my competitor without me asking, even though I had a contract, that's kind of fucked up.
Hold up. Oh, wait a minute. So you telling me Capcom stole money from them?
Yes.
Man,
yes.
Look.
The Capcom 5 deal. That's what it was.
So wait. The Capcom 5 deal, right? If I'm not mistaken, Capcom had to release 5 games for the GameCube, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
no.
I'm just asking, what can we get a list of the 5 games? I know Beautiful Joe was one, right?
Beautiful Joe.
Did Capcom make that game where the girl dances and shoots laser beams out of her hands?
Yes.
That game was not a GameCube exclusive. If I remember correctly.
It was none of the games were GameCube exclusive.
No. Was it a part of the deal? Was it part of the 5 deal or whatever?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes,
okay. What else? Was Beautiful Joe 2? Did that come out after the deal was done?
That was not a part of the deal. That was after the deal.
Okay. What else? Beautiful Joe, the dancing game, the Resident Evil 4. What about Resident Evil 1? Was that part of that deal?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Okami was supposed to be one of the games, but they moved it. They moved it to the PS2. They got scared.
They moved it to the PS2, right?
Yes.
Now with the Capcom 5 games, right? Did those do well on the GameCube? Just asking.
Yes.
What they
wait. Okay, let me be honest with you. No, Resident Evil 4 did. Beautiful Joe did. Okami didn't make it over there, so that didn't work out for that case. Mega Man Collection did. Because they had a Mega Man Command Mega Collection. They had a Mega Man Collection came before the Mega Man for that. PS product number 3 did not. And again, like you just said, Okami did not make it over to that console.
I am seeing that the Capcom 5 was PN number 3, which is a dancing game, Beautiful Joe, Dead Phoenix, Resident Evil 4, and Killer 7. That's 5 games.
But Dead Phoenix was canceled before its time, and like Okami, like literally Shinji Mikami, not Shinji Mikami, Hideki Kamiya himself said that Okami was supposed to be one of the Capcom 5 games that they built. That game was initially built for the GameCube instead of the PS2, and they moved it over because Capcom got scared because Capcom, I don't know, Capcom does things.
But this is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying.
Right? Can't come alone.
I don't have any paperwork or contract to know anything, so I'm letting you know this. But I'm saying this: the Dead Phoenix game got canceled, right? But if it was understood and documented that was supposed to be one of the games, and even if that guy said that, you know, what's the game you just said, Okami, right, was supposed to be one, right? I also remember them saying that Resident Evil 4 was never going to go to any other system either. But if none of this stuff is on paperwork, right? So I don't know if Okami was never on paperwork to be exclusive, it could have been a situation where they said we were going to do it. It was never documented, never on paper, never guaranteed. I'm just saying.
Here's what I'll say. Shinji Mikami himself, the reason Shinji Mikami left was because they broke the contract with.
That's true, but that is true.
That's from the horse's mouth himself. Okay?
That's what he tells you, right?
Yeah, that's what. Why
would he also tell you the truth?
Okay,
I know what I'm saying. I say this to say this, right? Why would he lie? Why would he tell the truth? I mean, who is he talking to? We're just consumers. It's not like it's not even like the major consumers are even going to read whatever article or interview that he was in anyway. The major people, the major group of people who buy games, not even going to care to even look or know what that is. They don't even know who he is. So that's what I'm saying. What difference does it make if he lies or tells you the truth? When 9 times 10, the most people that's going to buy it ain't going to pay him no attention anyway. Not even going to know who he exists. So what I'm saying is he may have said that just like they said Resident Evil 4 was never going to go anywhere else but GameCube. But it did. Okay, they can say a lot of things, but guess what? If that paperwork allows things to do things, if there's some way to get out this contract through a loophole or whatever, and that they're going to do it. Nintendo has done it, and I still to this day, people don't like PlayStation. But ignore the fact that PlayStation, as we know it today, may have not existed if Nintendo didn't break their agreement. Like, so it's this whole reaching.
So what
I'm saying is this, right? If we're gonna have a problem with breaking the contracts, I would think we'll have a problem with all breakings of contracts. And at the end of the day, we look into everybody done broke, not us. We're people. We know people.
Okay, wait.
These companies have broke a contract.
Wait. And I explained the contract thing with you with the PlayStation thing before. So let me go over this. So I'll be honest with you, Grim. Like I said, you are an analytical person. You stick to one point and you cut across all the time. Now you saying you going with the whole breaking contract, but we talk about it. So Nintendo and Sony came together to make the money, right?
Okay.
Let's go with that. Nintendo and Sony came together to make the money to make the Nintendo PlayStation. That's what we're going to call it that time.
Uh-huh.
And I told you, and going to what you just said right now, you said these little people, regular consumers, because everybody got the consumer part of saying Nintendo bought the contract, but nobody's talking. Again, many people, except for when you go through the books and all that stuff, talked about when about the percentage rate that Sony wanted to charge.
No, I know about that. I know about the percentage rates and how Sony.
Well, no. But I'm going with what you saying. So not many people know that, regular consumers.
Okay.
So going with what you just said. Now, I gave you the breaking contract with the Capcom 5 deal. I was not talking about consumers in the first place. You never hear me say. I said as a company that they gave money for the contract for this to be done. It didn't happen. It was supposed to be exclusive. It didn't happen. Okay, that's all I was pointing out in that regard. Now you asked a question before that. You say why Nintendo fans don't like third party? I can't surmise what people think. I know from me seeing what happened with the contracts and all the stuff as a business person, that's what I didn't like. Liger himself.
What I'm saying, no, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is this, right? You're saying, right, with the Sony and Microsoft, the Sony and Nintendo thing, right? The reason Nintendo broke it, I guess you're saying, is understandable, because if they would agree to it, well, they did agree to it.
Yeah, they agreed to that number, but go ahead.
Not the way I found the story and read it, is that the contract was agreed upon. It's just, I guess, whatever reason, Nintendo may have not been aware that maybe they were agreeing to basically just get screwed, but it doesn't change that they signed it.
And again, but I blame Nintendo in the problem. You should, when I spoke to you, I said Nintendo's a fault of that too. I never said
okay. And what I'm saying is, right, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but one of the whole discussion about, right, why you have a certain problem with third parties, you're bringing up,
and I'm bringing
you're bringing up the breaking of contracts, right?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm saying is that same emotion felt as strongly when it comes to Nintendo, who's also broke contracts.
Yeah, but the comparison.
I'm just asking him. Look, it's not a right or wrong answer.
He didn't ask you, Doc.
It's not a right or wrong answer. I just want to know, is his feeling the same?
My feeling will be the same if somebody paid Nintendo money and they broke the contract for making a game. Yes, it would be. If you were naming the game that they did that, then I'll be the same way as it would be right there.
Yeah.
Name the game that they did that Capcom paid Nintendo to make, and they broke the contract. Or, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not aware. I don't know.
No, I'm just giving you the same exact. My point is, I'm using the same thing. I'm just using the same thing like you just said. I'm not trying to change it.
Something Nintendo did. I give you something they did. I tell you what. I know all these people ain't run from Nintendo because of nothing. I know something happened.
Because they didn't get the freedom. They didn't get the freedom.
Hold it. If they ain't get no freedom, that means that Nintendo did something.
Okay.
Nintendo had to do something to all these people for them to just start running.
Yeah. What I can recall in the history, what happened is that, as like I mentioned earlier, the way Nintendo had it with Yamauchi, basically they had very little options to go, and then on top of that, Nintendo made them pay for the cartridges out of their own pocket, and of course on top of that,
and also limited the cartridges that people got every year.
So basically, Nintendo did rule with an iron fist. You can say they were internal gaming monopoly, where if you want to put your game on their system, because let's be honest, I've said this before, a video game is nothing without a platform. You can have the greatest idea in the world, but you need a platform to see it be realized, and you want to make money off of it. So if you only got basically one option to put your game on it, and this one option is forcing you to not only buy their proprietary cartridge, but you got to pay their licensing fee, basically all the risk is on you. That's why they were happy when Sega Genesis came in and made it so easy. They were much more accessible. Sega let anybody on the console.
And Sony made it even way easier.
Sony did too.
Yeah.
And then Microsoft came in and were basically writing blank checks saying, come over here, bring your game over here. Here's money. How much you want?
I don't want to add this to you, Keys, and I said it to you the first time when it was on. I personally don't have no problem that we had more consoles and more games out there. I don't care. I'm happy that I got to play some good games on Sega and PlayStation. I got to play other games that I like on the other consoles, so I have no problem that happened.
No, but look, man, look. This whole thing with, like everybody act like Nintendo's like the little kid that's never done nothing. You know what I'm saying?
I never said it didn't do nothing.
I'm not saying that you did say that, but it's just the way that everybody acts towards Nintendo. It's like Nintendo. I know everybody grew up with them. It's got that little childhood place in your heart. I get that. But these motherfuckers are as grimy as everybody else. They know they ain't no damn saints out here.
Okay, then. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. And I'll go with what you just say, Keys. Again, when you're speaking, the reason, and again in the video I'm gonna put up. You can see the reason I said it. The reason for me why I like Nintendo, and I like WayForward, and I like NC Trace because I bought their games without no ifs, ands, or buts with it because they provide me something which is if the game ain't fun, I'm not gonna buy it. And then second is quality. I don't care what console the game is on. You give me those two things first, that piques my interest. I'll buy the game.
You don't really know what's truly fun until you really play it, though. True. So I mean, when you go out here and buy stuff, you see. Another thing is a lot of people.
No, but I have something called. But wait, I have something called a preference.
Well, hold up though. Okay. Now you know good and well when back in the days, you had to take risks buying these games. Now I know a lot of people like to go with Nintendo because they were certain that they would get a good game with Nintendo. They didn't want to take risks. With all those other games out there, some people were like that.
That's true.
Right?
True.
All right, now look. I'm going back to this damn Nintendo thing because I think some of y'all might need to realize that y'all got to say that Nintendo done some dirt. They dirty.
Yeah, but I just said that.
And did we ever claim that they didn't do their business? Businesses look up to their
I will. Let me just add this in. I will say this though. I'm not saying Nintendo. I agree with Keith as well. I'm not saying Nintendo fans don't acknowledge the dirt Nintendo does, but it's almost like they glorify and not glorify like they champion it as if when Nintendo did it, it was clever or smart. But when another company also may do something dirty in a clever way, they're wrong and evil.
General, okay.
No, I'm talking. Basically, what I'm saying is, hit dogs will holler. If you've done this, you know who I'm talking about. And I listen to a lot of you guys, and I listen to a lot of people outside of you guys. I can't remember every single person that said this stuff. I know not too long ago, what was it? Mr. T was talking about the dominance of Nintendo, wanting to go back to basically the lockdown type era of the NES. Who the fuck would want that? But
there's a lot of third parties that ask that. They are people who ask that too. But again, I just want to add that
they ask to be restricted.
Yes.
Okay. Let me inject for a minute though.
Wait.
Nintendo's dominance back. Now let me ask everybody in this room, who wanted to go back to when Nintendo was dominant?
You asked the third parties. There are developers that have come back saying they want to go back to the NES.
No, I'm asking y'all. Who wants Nintendo wanted to go back to the times when Nintendo was the dominant one?
I will go ahead and speak out first, and I would say with confidence. Not that I want that, I wouldn't mind that. And let me tell you why. My reason I wouldn't mind that, because back in those days, that Nintendo seal of quality we see on these games, Nintendo would not let many crappy games end up on their system. You couldn't get that seal. Hey, let me finish. You couldn't get that seal of quality unless you had a decent offering. You couldn't.
There's a lot of Nintendo games that had that damn seal. And I mean, them things there was
shovelware even back then. There was shovelware even back then.
That seal of quality was just a gimmick. That wasn't.
But
that just meant you paid for it. But
what I'm saying overall is that if you give me 10 games from each console maker, 10 from Sony and their exclusive whatever, 10 from Nintendo and 10 from Microsoft, and hell, even 10 from Sega, I can trust Nintendo's offerings a hell of a lot more often than I can the others. The reason why is because they are a game maker, 2, a console maker, 3, their entire history is gaming. And you look at all the games that we idolize today, even the features that they brought about, where'd they come from? In most cases, the things we take advantage of in games today come from Nintendo.
No, they come from third party.
I didn't know that. What was it? Having Love Hotels was gaming. I mean, I guess that's
talking about gaming history.
He said their whole history was gaming. They ain't. Nintendo was in the. Nintendo had whorehouses.
No. Just because they had her, but they were still they started as a gaming company. They really have been a gaming company. Just because they do other stuff, you can have other business ventures, but Nintendo is a gaming company, and they have been since the beginning. Just because they offer something else doesn't mean they stop being a gaming company. Nintendo started as a trading card company. They've been in gaming since the beginning.
But go ahead.
So I'm saying I trust them and their gaming history a lot more than the rest. Now,
and Doc is speaking for himself, people.
I'm not saying this has always been the case. there used to be a time that almost any PS2 game you bought, most of them would be good because they used to be quality games back then. Back on the PS1 and PS2, there was a lot of games that you probably didn't care about, but there were many of them you did care about, a lot of them. But third parties today that don't even care whether the game is complete or has been properly quality tested yet, you mean to tell me with the history we had just in the 7th and 8th gen that I should really trust them, even with the offerings they have on their preferred console? So they say they want to work with Sony or Microsoft, and they put out a game, Mass Effect Andromeda, Assassin's Creed Unity, Halo Master Chief Collection, and that was a first-party title. I mean, what the hell? And that was broken. Battlefield 4, broken. You telling me that I should trust these companies a lot more than Nintendo? Because let me ask a question. How many Nintendo games can you think of where have been this broken? Give me 5 Nintendo games that have been broken as hell.
What do you mean when you say broken? Now, what I saw Grim play the other day with the game where the guy was flying with the parachute and he fell through the floor, that's broke. Now, when you say broke, are you saying broke as in the game don't work, or is it not to?
I mean, to be honest with you, I had Mass Effect Andromeda day one. I don't know what you mean by broken.
The glitches, the falling.
I didn't experience.
You didn't experience that.
Hey, you may not experience it, but you may not experience it. Hey, I mean, people can always say that. I know people that say when they got Assassin's Creed Unity, they had no issues with it. I know people that say Battlefield 4 has worked well for them. Okay, you're one of the few.
Batman Arkham Knight work well for some people.
Well, it may not be the few. I don't know which side. Like for example, right when I was one of the few people to tell people that Fallout 4 was broken, everybody was acting like I was crazy and lying, and then it comes out later. No, we all were experiencing a broken game, right? So I don't know really, because a lot of people had an issue with the animations in Mass Effect Andromeda, not that it was broken or falling through the map. That's mostly what I saw.
That's what you saw. I saw a lot of people.
Ask you this, Graham. If you were let's say you were an important part of the making of Mass Effect Andromeda, wouldn't the animations that you see people have an issue with, wouldn't that have been a concern for you during development? Just a simple yes or no.
You're asking me if people didn't like my animations, would that be a concern?
No, not if people didn't like it. If you know your animations are janky, glitchy, or whatever in your game, not because you worked on, they don't like them, but even from the perspective of other people, Mass Effect Andromeda had a lot of glitches, a lot of issues. But if you want to take it to a more profound example, okay, let's say Assassin's Creed Unity and Battlefield 4, 2 games we know were obviously broken in so many ways it was ridiculous, especially even online. If this was your game that you worked on, that you were the head of, would you accept that? Would you accept?
Was I in full control of the game? Like I have no investors and I can decide when the game comes out and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Well, I would have made the shit work. But that's if I don't have any investors, and I guess I'm completely in control.
The publishers.
If I'm completely in control, then no. But if I'm not in control, then I have no choice but to do what they want me to do.
You want me to fix something? Hey, I ain't fixing nothing for free.
That's the problem with the industry today.
Oh yes, you would, Keys. If you would, if you want to get your game out.
Hell no, look.
If you want to get your game out, you would.
You see, Keith, that's a prime example of the industry today. Is that they want to
because them games on Nintendo was just like that.
They want to make games. They want to charge you $60 for these games, plus whatever DLC practice they got going on.
Man,
and
pay more than that.
This is what I'm saying. There are.
We're asking you to give us an example of a Nintendo game that has been broken.
I'm not. To be honest, though, I've seen a lot of videos. Well, I don't know if this was the game or the Switch itself, but Breath of the Wild was fucked up. Let's be honest.
Okay.
That was fucked up.
All right.
They fixed it, but it was fucked up in the beginning.
I mean, sometimes, and hold up though. When I was playing that damn Breath of the Wild, that thing froze on me quite a few times.
It froze on me. I have video footage.
I don't know if this is a Nintendo game, right? But wasn't that fast RMX on the Wii U bricking consoles? It was bricking Wii U's.
I said
I don't know if that's first.
Game.
No, that's why I said I don't know if that's. I didn't know what that was. That's what I'm asking.
Let's take it back to the original Nintendo, right? We had plenty of games that had slowed down when it had too many damn people.
Okay, look. Slow down is not a broken. Hold on. Slow down is not a broken game.
And also a lot of fucked up platforms too. You thinking you jumping on the platform and you fall through the motherfucker. It was tons of games like that.
Okay.
My original question.
Some
My original
games
question was: can you name 5 games for Nintendo that are broken? What they let's just
Goddamn
look at recent
Castlevania.
history.
Hold up, let me bring them down.
I said 5 games by Nintendo, not a third-party exclusive. Games made by Nintendo.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Oh,
Let me
okay.
finish.
Oh, that's not
Can
problem.
you name 5 games by Nintendo? I go back from the Wii generation up to now. So up to now, 5 games
No, we
made by
gotta
Nintendo.
go back to Nintendo now. We can't just go back to
hold
the
on.
Wii. We gotta go back to Nintendo.
Hold on. The Wii is Nintendo. So my
No, I'm
question is
talking
about
about
games. Can you
the
name
NES.
5? Okay, can you name 5 games made, published, and developed by Nintendo that were broken, like the games we see today, where they're almost, in a sense, non-functioning in some way, shape, or fashion? I'm not talking about, oh, well, I see slowdown and we're from 30 frames to 25 or 20 frames. I mean a game that freezes, broken in some kind of way, like we see games today where people bitch about every day, almost, about major AAA.
To be fair, they do bitch about if a game just drops 5 frames too, and they'll say they won't buy something just 5 frames. So to be fair,
yeah, I
that's
know,
in the category.
I know that, but you and I both know that's not truly a broken game. That's a performance issue at best, but it's not a broken game. A broken game is like Battlefield 4. You can't play online match.
Seriously.
Hey, look. I'm saying go back to Nintendo's because I want to basically prove to you is that in the beginning, Nintendo did not give a shit, and even their own games were not perfect then either. And actually, Nintendo games ain't never been perfect. They've always had issues in them too. I mean, it's just that people don't want to see Nintendo's games as being like that. But they are.
Give us an example.
Okay, so now we're jumping around. So I never said perfect.
You still haven't given us an example of a Nintendo published made game that was a broken piece of shit.
Now
Please.
you know
Well,
that
I
original.
said Breath of the Wild.
Now you know that original Mario Brothers on that NES, the original Mario Brothers, had a lot of effed up platforms on there. And you can't tell me you ain't played that original Mario Brothers game and ain't fall through platform, and you know that you ain't had nothing to do with that. And sometimes you be moving.
I didn't.
You know how Mario
I was good at platformers. Maybe you weren't good at platformers. I don't know.
That's wrong, man.
I mean, look, you're like, man, I felt this before in Castlevania. I'm like,
that is not
hold on. Red Fox going down the wrong road because if I tell him to play that Mario, he ain't gonna do it. So don't say that now.
Dude, I played the original Mario.
No. Play it now. See, that's another thing about this Nintendo thing, right? Y'all Nintendo people talk about Nintendo. How many of y'all am I gonna see go back and play that original Mario?
I have gone back and played the original Mario many times.
No,
many times.
We need to see this. Look, if y'all Nintendo fans like y'all say y'all are, I need to see y'all play that original Super Mario Brothers on the NES and beat that motherfucker.
You want me to? Okay.
So you want me to dig out my NES and play that shit again?
No. He just want to see.
Do it. I want to see y'all play that original Mario Brothers. Well, actually, the greatest Mario Brothers game that Nintendo ever made, which is their first one. I want to see y'all play that motherfucker. And look, a lot of Nintendo.
Whatever.
You mean the one where they're underground, where they're in the pipes and they're just like
you know what I'm
hitting turtles from underneath the floor.
But you know that's kind of funny you said that because you also just said that was the broken game. So you mean to tell me the broken Mario is the best one?
That broken thing that y'all say, I don't even believe in that shit. I'm just saying that's because that's what y'all say. To me, a game is not broken.
You still haven't answered the question.
A game is not broken unless I cut that bitch on and I can't do nothing. That's broke. Not when you can play the game, you can move it around, but here and there you get a little glitch, some little shit happen, or it cut off on you and you cut it back on. That ain't no damn broke to me.
Or you fall through the mountain or a floor and you have to reset the game.
You can reset the motherfucker. It'll come on again. Sometimes,
I'm done.
Or a game where you go up and the
No,
guy's
no,
face is
y'all-
literally
y'all-
looks like it's been
Hey,
scanned.
Keith, you know what, guys? Yeah, okay. Keith, I'll answer your question. You asked a question where, where, or was it Keith or was it Grim? Who asked the question that what place I would like to play with, or because if I have to be honest, it'd be the 5th and 6th generation. That's what I would like. I would like to have. We had Sony being what it is, Sega being well, because I like the Dreamcast. I bought it, had fun on all the games I bought in it. We had a good competition between there. Xbox came in. We had game competition as well too. So yeah, I have no problem with that
And
competition.
it's the only one that had 4 consoles, so I have to agree with you.
I have no
Yeah.
problem. I have no problem against having more consoles than a Nintendo because I bought more consoles than just Nintendo. Again, I don't.
Yeah.
You arguing my the one thing I've said many times on my videos. I said I'm never gonna argue people's preference because I can't. You buy what you like. I bought Nintendo because of what I like, and you asked me to explain everything all over the time. I told you why I like it. I told you in the last video when you was on it, I like it. I'm not against. I never argued when you were talking about Sega's the dream and all this stuff. Did I argue against you having you say about the Sega Master System because that's what you like? It just is what it is in that case. I don't want. I want. I've said multiple times on my channel. I don't want Sega to go. I've never bashed the PlayStation or the Xbox One, not the Vita, because I bought a Vita. I'm gonna buy a PlayStation 4 later on in the year because the games I want. I want games for everybody to play. That's why I put my tag at the end. There's no perfect games on. Just play games on every console, even PC. I don't care for that stuff. That's not the way I do my channel.
Well, hey, we ain't got no problem with you doing that, but I still want to see these Nintendo fans play that Mario though.
Well, ask those individual Nintendo fans to do that and let them talk.
Cause old Red Fox there, he pulled it up. Now see, I normally will pull up. Yeah, Mr. T, I was at it. Hey, Mr. T did do it though. He did play that original Mario. I give it to him. He ain't beat it, but I give him credit for actually doing it. Now Red Fox there, now he pulled it up.
Why
I ain't
everybody
seen
in
him
the
play that
chat
Mario yet.
message deleted?
Huh?
I just looked in the chat and know that everybody message is deleted.
I don't know what text you're talking about.
I didn't do it.
I was just wondering. That's all.
I don't know what message you talking about. He
I'm
must be
talking
talking
about
about
in the chat
something else.
of the video of the stream.
Well, Graham,
No,
They probably worry about that Mario.
I have a quick question, and I pray this is at least somewhat related to the topic you guys were on. But just generally speaking, take out all the gaming stuff, period. Just generally speaking, Graham, if you have been betrayed, if you have been dogged out by somebody that you give him chances to multiple times, I'm current girlfriend, friend, family, whatever. If you giving someone chances to do right by you, and even when they did you wrong, you still went back to trust them again. You gave them another chance, and they still did it. And even when you didn't do anything wrong, but they told lies about you, they slandered you in the media. Would you really, really, really trust them? Would you really ever truly trust them again? And I'm not asking just from the perception of like Nintendo versus the third parties. I'm also asking this gamers. Like for example, if I know for a fact that Street Fighter, for example, has been on the NES, Super NES, Street Fighter's been on Nintendo consoles. If I know that Tetris started on a Nintendo console for the most part, and that's where it made the bulk of its money was on Nintendo console, and then you give me an excuse that you're gonna put it on a different system, or for some reason it can't go on this Nintendo console, but this is where you made your money. You can't tell me that you wouldn't feel somewhat betrayed, whether you are looking at this as a company person or just as a gamer, period. You can't tell me you won't feel some type of way like, man, that's kind of fucked up. Like, let's say, for example, I use PlayStation. Let's say the next Uncharted game, they say, we're going to put this on Xbox, exclusive. And you have bought every Uncharted game up to this point on the PlayStation. Now, this is not about console loyalty. When you feel a little bit pissed off, if you know for a fact that's where that franchise got to start and it has its fans, it's been selling, even though they may have their own reasons business-wise, you can't tell me you wouldn't feel somewhat slighted as a gamer. Because you have a PlayStation, you want to play that game, you're looking forward to it. Now you see that if you want to play the game, you got to shell out some more money. just to play on a different system than where it started at.
You asking me as if I'm a consumer, right?
Yeah, as a consumer, if
No, I
you
wouldn't
felt the
care.
trade some kind of way, would
Well,
you?
he just answered it. He just answered. He said he
No.
don't care. No.
I would not care at all.
There you go.
I
That's
would
it.
just buy the game. If I want the game, I'll go buy wherever it's on to get it.
There you go. And that's his answer. Yeah. You can't argue it.
Because
That's
I don't
preference.
I don't even see what that would have to do. Because at the end of the day, when I grew up playing Crash Bandicoot on PlayStation 1, I saw Crash with the GameCube. I didn't think that was bad. I thought that was cool.
No,
You know
I'm
what
not
I'm
saying
saying?
that.
I didn't think that was
would
a
be a bad
problem.
thing. But that's why when I initially asked the question, I said if this was about not about a game, but like just about girlfriend, family member, friend. If you got slighted more than one way, more than one time, would you still just hold a hand out and trust them, or would you feel some kind of way about the person? Would you be a little more cautious about when you deal with them?
It depends on what we're talking. Because I also remember you mentioned something about like in a business situation, right? In a personal relationship situation, yeah, I would feel some type of way. It's a personal relationship with somebody. If you did me wrong and in a way that I deem is so bad that I can't really fully trust you ever again, then that's probably how I feel unless something changes my mind. Business, on the other hand, is a little bit different because in business, I'm not gonna say you can't trust somebody fully in business, but you know, I have a different business mindset than a personal mindset. Business is business. Just like I can understand why Nintendo did what they did with Sony, right? Because that would be dumb for them to continue to go through it knowing they about to lose a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense, right? Now let's say this was not business, but it was something personal, had nothing to do with real money, but it was the same type of thing where Nintendo's going to lose out something in the end compared to Sony would. But it has nothing to do with money though. Let's just say, I don't know, you lose out on, I don't damn know, something. That has nothing to do with money. Right? And it's personal, right? That's a different type of, I would take that differently because it's personal, right? It has nothing to do with business.
And with that said, I completely agree with you. And I say I agree with you because
What's going on?
Stop. Here's something that you're actually missing from a business standpoint. What if in business it's the same person you've dealt with that same company, the same person who you dealt with has slighted you more than once? Would you still make business with him?
That's why they ain't going to Nintendo.
I mean, it would definitely depend on what's going on in the business. It would definitely depend. Like if I think that working with this person that we may have had a problem in the past, I'm going to make some money off of doing what I'm doing with them, right? Then I might take that chance.
But the reason I asked that question in two parts is because, okay, look, I'm like Liger. I follow the games. Just like me, I wanted to play Sunset Overdrive. Did I want to have to buy an Xbox One to do it? No, I think we can all agree we want to have all our games on the same console, not to buy different pieces of plastic just to play certain games. We will all want that, but this isn't a perfect world. So I knew if I wanted to play Sunset Overdrive, I had to buy an Xbox One, and I did just that. All right. So from Nintendo's standpoint, you can see why Nintendo may be the way they are because they've been burned not once, not twice, but multiple times by
You don't
third
think
parties.
they was doing the burning too, though? They
But at the end
they
of
be
the day,
burning people.
but-
They got the blowtorch.
But at the end of the day, as a gamer, though, as a gamer, when I see some of the decisions some of these third parties have made, I'm not saying Nintendo has never made a mistake. They have made mistakes. I have never said they've been the perfect company. I said I trust them more based on their history. I do. That's a fact. I trust them more. But
Wait a minute, the
as a
history.
gamer,
But
Let him finish, Keith.
But as a gamer, when I look out and I see third parties making certain statements, or they say certain things, or they tell certain lies, or whatever case, or they want to bring a game over, I'm not pissed off that they don't bring a game over. I'm not pissed off at that. You want to bring your game to the PlayStation 4? Hey, that's entirely up to you. That is a business decision. You feel it's the best one for you. So be it. Like you guys, like or whatever, I don't take that personal. Some Nintendo fans do. You should bring the game over here. This is where it started. Hey, it's business. I don't have anything against the business decision. If you feel it's better for you as the business, that's one thing. I go where the games go. But I feel that some Nintendo fans, maybe a lot of them, they feel slighted because it's like, okay, hey, Your game was on this system in the past. This is where you made your money. It's where your bread was buttered. Now you're going somewhere else. What's the reason for that? Or, hey, I bought your games. You don't think your fans still exist on this platform? They feel slighted some kind of way. I'm not saying that's all of them feel that way. I'm not saying it's the case for every single one that thinks this way. But I'm saying that I follow the game. I don't give a shit. I have a PS4, and I bought The Last Guardian, the game that probably no one else that has a PS4 even bought, because I'm not just all talk. I bought the game, and I actually like it. But other people, they get pissed off about certain shit like that.
Let me ask you this: do you think these people work in reverse? Because after you answer that, I got something I heard of today that I want to pass to you guys. Do you think it works in reverse? Which is, okay, what's a game that started on Nintendo, right? And got its popularity on Nintendo. Tetris, right? All right, let's say Tetris all of a sudden don't come to Nintendo systems no more, right? That person would then feel a type of way because Tetris started on Nintendo and Tetris is not there anymore. Not knowing what's going on the business wise or wherever just off the strength of that, they don't like that, right?
Okay.
Then they see the same things happening to Sony or Microsoft. And a game like, let's say, Monster Hunter that started pretty much on PlayStation moves mostly to Nintendo, and it's not on Sony anymore, but it's on Nintendo, right? Would that person then care that Sony gamers are getting screwed, or would they not care because, well, now they have the game and it's exclusive to them, so now they're happier? You get what I'm trying to say?
You're talking, and if you're talking hyperbole to that person, then you're right.
No, I'm asking y'all. Do you think what do you think? There's more people that would still feel like, no, the Sony gamer should still get this game because that's fair, or do you think that the other person,
the latter, the one because we've seen it with Bayonetta.
Yep.
So basically, those people they're not really for the fairness. They're not. They're more worried about if their system of choice.
Yeah. What
they want. Okay. Yeah. Now to the thing I saw today, right? Mm-hmm. Which was I saw a video from Terminator Juice addressing the Capcom games that were announced.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Okay, and in this video, he said something. Now, I'm not sure if Terminator Juice said this, but a lot of Nintendo gamers said this. He said that this game, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, well, 1 is coming to Xbox One and PS4 because it never came, but 2 did come already. It came a long time ago. So he's saying that it's coming out, I think, around the time or the same day as Rayman and the Rabbids and Mario or something. And the Switch version is getting pushed back. We don't know when it's coming out, but it's supposed to come out this year, right? Both the games.
Yes.
And he's saying that that's not fair because they come out day and day, and you should delay the PlayStation 4 Xbox One version to come out the same day as the Switch. Now, the reason I find that funny is because when Ubisoft delayed Rayman to come out the same day as other systems, no one liked that. But now
the reason
requesting
that was a little different.
That was different because
hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is what I'm saying, right? I understand Rayman was announced to be exclusive, then the exclusivity went away, right? And Nintendo gamers really didn't have much a problem with that. What they really had more of a problem was not the exclusivity went away because Ubisoft was like, we're still going to give you your unique experience. The major issue a lot of them had issue with was the fact that now you're a game that you're pretty much saying is finished, you're going to hold to make it come out the same day as the other systems, right? Now, I don't know. I'm pretty sure because if the Xbox One and PS4 version of Resident Evil Revelations 1 is coming out before the Switch version, I'm just going to assume that it's been in the works a little bit further along, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, basically, you're still requesting. Well, he's basically requesting.
He's requested that.
He's requesting.
And I disagree with that.
He's requesting a game that's further along in development that can probably come out around the due date they have set to be held off just to release with the Switch version, which we still don't know when it's coming out. And what I'm saying is, if he is one of the people that said that was wrong what they did with Rayman, which I'm pretty sure he is. I don't remember everything Terminator you said.
No, I got you.
What do you think about that? Do you think
I disagree? And I disagree. When he said that, I disagree with what he said. I disagree with what he said when he said that because, like I said, you brought up the Rayman thing that was a different, like you said, with the exclusivity. This one right here, if the game, look, okay, I would have bought again, I'm talking for me, but I would have bought the game that the Watch Dogs. There you go. I'd have bought Watch Dogs if they didn't. Again, for me, I told you they do the whole crap what they did with the line and all that bull crap. That's what I would have done with Watch Dogs. The lie. That's how I feel, and I didn't take into that, including that Ubisoft sent that game to die anyway by putting it right beside one of the biggest games to the launch, right beside it. That was ridiculous to me. Prove that it was not going to sell. But I don't. If a game comes out later, like me and you had to talk about, Grim, like you said, the Dragon Ball Fighters, I don't care. I'll buy it. But again, I can't. Again, it's one of those things where I can't talk for other people. But I disagree with Terminator Juice when he said, I was like, you can't do that because we do it now. Like you just said, I don't know when. I for sure think that game was in development for the other, like you just said, for other consoles, and they just started. Capcom thinking maybe now, yeah, we'll put that game in there. That's one of the reasons I said if Capcom had this game. Help the switch in the other way so much, they would have had that game ready to go if that were the case, which they didn't. But if they're gonna push it back, I ain't gonna fault them for that. Just get a game out and the people play what they gotta play.
And I agree with Liger on that but to be honest, I can see both ends of it. If I have to wait for the game, I'll still buy it because I'm one of the ones that still bought Watch Dogs on the Wii U because that's the version I wanted. That game. And even when it comes to Revelations, so if a game comes out later on Nintendo's console, whatever, if that's the version I want, I'm willing to wait for it. But the reason why I say I can see both sides is, and I'm not saying this is what Terminator Juice was alluding to, but I see the parody side of things. And for me, when I look at things as far from a parody standpoint, it's like, okay, well, Rayman Legends on the Wii U, that was supposed to be a Wii U exclusive. It was delayed so it could be a multi-plat. So we all feel slight. It's like, okay, so this is supposed to be just for us, and now you're going to delay our version, even though it's finished, just so you can release it on everything simultaneously.
And let's add one more thing. Let's add one more thing to that. Even the developer himself was not happy with that. Just like Shinji Mikami was when you talked about the Capcom thing. They came out publicly and said this is wrong. Michael Lancel publicly
and I know that, and I agree with them. I mean, like I said, I can see both sides. The reason why I can, like I said, and when it comes to the parody part, to me, the parody part looks better. I'm not saying it's better for business. I'm not saying it's the best thing for everyone. I'm not saying that at all. I can understand objectively why, because if it comes out on all the platforms simultaneously, that's not a bad thing. And let's say the PS4 and Xbox One versions are finished, and the Switch version won't be finished for another 3 to 6 months. Well, it happened with Watch Dogs, it happened with Rayman Legends. So it's kind of like, well, if you held back, I'm not just saying coming, but if the third party will hold back a game, just released it in multiplat, it's supposed to be exclusive. Okay, well, you have a game that's multiplat, why not hold it back and release it for all of them? I'm saying I see both sides. I'm willing to wait for the version I want if it comes out later. I really am willing to wait. I don't have to have it the same day and date. Hell, more than likely, I'm buying something else on that day, or I already have it and I'm playing it. I got options. I got multiple consoles. So if you're a single console owner, it may be frustrating. But at the end of the day,
well, I know. But here's the thing, though. That person choose to be a single. Like when I was in the 7th generation, I had a Wii and DS only. I choose to be a single console owner, and I didn't think of it as a sucky thing. I bought what I could buy.
And I consider that, but as I just said, I personally, Grim, I can see both sides. I understand objectively both sides, the issues they have, but I also can see why, as far as pushing the game back, you're right. It's not right. It's not cool because with the people for the PS4 and Xbox One, you be screwing over two crowds. They really want that game. If they really want it, you're kind of screwing them over the same way we got screwed over with Rayman Legends. And I for an eye, it doesn't need to be a thing.
And wait a minute, how y'all get screwed over with Rayman Legends? How y'all get screwed over with that?
That was supposed to be Wii U exclusive, and then they delayed it 6 months to make it a multi-plat.
Who said it was supposed to be a Wii U exclusive?
Ubisoft themselves.
All right.
Well, I will agree. Well, I don't know what Keith is about to go say, but I will say that I don't know. I don't really see the screwing part because I mean
I don't in that regard.
You know what I'm saying? Because I I don't care.
got a
I mean,
game.
the
You
difference
still
if
got
it's
a game.
exclusive
I
or
didn't
not.
know-
You know what I'm saying?
I don't look this exclusive part. I don't. Okay, I see what you come. I see what you're gonna say right there, and I'm with you with that too. For me, that you had a game that you had a game, you hyped it up, which Ubisoft did. They hyped up the game to say it's gonna release February, and then basically just before February they said, "Oh, we're gonna push it back," and that's why Michael Arcel came out and said, "This is crazy. The game's done. What y'all Ubisoft? What y'all doing? Blah blah blah, and all that stuff."
Well, I mean,
And
yeah,
that's
that's the
also a
big thing. The
perfect
game was
example.
done, so.
But that's all a perfect example of what I was saying earlier too. Rayman Legends is a sequel to Rayman Origins. Why would I wonder if anybody before it went away from being exclusive, right? When it was just exclusive, did anybody say, well, that's not right? That game came on every other system. Legends should come out, and they probably did. They probably were just like,
No, yeah, you're right. No,
Well, to tell you the truth, I was one of those people who said, you know, they like Ubisoft was like, well, it seemed to me that the reason they made it a multiplayer is because they wanted to make more money off of it. Nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing: Origins, which I mean, Rayman Legends is basically using the same engine as Origins and all that stuff. Origins, the reason it made a lot of money wasn't just because it was on the Wii, because they also ported it to the 3DS. So I'm like, wouldn't it have made sense if they really wanted to make a lot of money with that game to put it on the 3DS?
Well, Rayman Legends.
Just saying. Yeah, Rayman Legends.
Well, to be honest, Rayman Origins they run the best on the it didn't run the best on 3DS. Rayman Origins.
Yeah, but when has that been an issue for them? I'm just saying they could have made a lot of money.
I'm just saying that Rayman Origins I think was like 30 frames. I mean, it really was probably lower than 30 frames, right? Rayman Legends may be on the same engine, but Rayman Legends I would say it has a visual. It's visually upgraded. Then maybe that game and how it looked without them significantly downgrading it to the point it's unrecognizable, it probably couldn't run that well on the 3DS. Maybe XL,
I don't know.
But XL, the new 3DS XL wasn't even out at the time.
I don't know. I'm just simply saying if they were going for a simple cash grab, that would have been because the 3DS is remarkably cheap to develop.
And then of course when it comes to Rayman Legends, the ironic part is the Wii U version still outsold the other version, I think with the exception of like the PS4 later on. But it's still
now, you know
outsold.
what? When we had the Nintendo and the Genesis days, what was y'all like then? Were y'all like hardcore support Nintendo when we had?
No, you asked I already gave you my answer. So
actually, Ken was a Sega fanboy.
Sega, and I still love Sega to this day. So I bought the Sega console first.
I had a Nintendo console first, but then I got a Sega Genesis after the fact, and I had all the must-have games for the Sega Genesis. You know, like your Sonic the Hedgehogs, your Streets of Rage. I mean, you know, like you got what you enjoyed. But I mean,
Alter Beat.
So what if
things
Sega
were different back then?
If Sega had a console right now, would y'all still act to them like y'all do with Nintendo?
Yeah,
I wouldn't fanboy like that, but I would definitely own the console. I mean, hell, I own Sega's last console, the Dreamcast.
Like you know, get them a rosy pedestal and be real nice to Sega like y'all do.
You want me to give you? I'll give my answer, Kisuke. If they give me good games, as my definition, because I know you have this thing with the definition thing. If they give me a game that's fun and a game that is not broken, which is, in my opinion, my kind of style of good games, then yes, you give me a Sonic that's not like I had no problem with Sonic Generations and I played on the 3DS and the PC. That was a Sega game, so I had no problem with that. I had no problem with the one Sonic Lost Worlds. I didn't have no problem with that. So you give me that with a console, yeah, I'll buy you a console and play the game. Yes, for me. Now everybody else, y'all want to answer? Go ahead.
I would still buy the system. I mean, honestly, I'm still a Sega fan to this day. So that doesn't change.
Sega,
I don't put, like as I mentioned earlier, I don't put Nintendo on the pedestal. I just trust them more than the other two console manufacturers. I'm not exclusive to Nintendo at all.
Would you trust now? Let's say Sega got a console right now. Let's say like, what if Sega had a console right now and you got Nintendo with a console and then you got the other two, right?
I think Sega.
You still trust Sega's console over the other ones?
It doesn't break down.
If Sega was like they were back in the day, but the thing is that most of these companies are not what they used to be. Sega, that is as it exists now, I don't even think they have.
No, but he asked a hypothetical, Red.
Hypothetically, yeah, I would own a Sega console because Sega was quality. Okay.
So hold it. See, the problem I'm seeing, sounding here, is that y'all grew up. Because if y'all saying that y'all would trust Sega and Nintendo, that sounds like it's because y'all grew up with them. I mean, of course y'all gonna trust them. But
well, okay, so I bought a PlayStation Vita, so I didn't go up with a PlayStation Vita.
Yeah, but you ain't gonna stand up for Sony like you do Nintendo now.
I have done in the past. My video said that if you give me good games, that's what I put on my channel. I don't care where the game is at. That's what Doc was saying. I go where the game's at.
You give me quality, I'll buy it. That's basically
doesn't matter.
I got a PC.
I still have a fat PS2. I have my PS1. I have tons of game for each one that I still play to this day every so often. I have tons that I'm looking at. To me, the plastic doesn't matter. I follow the games. I just said I bought Xbox One strictly for Sunset Overdrive. That was the only game that was real on my mind when I bought the system.
The only game?
I didn't buy a play. It was the only game I literally bought the Xbox One for. It was the first game I purchased, and I even got it free downloaded when they gave it away. But I bought the game the day I got my my.
He got other games, Keys, but that's the game that made him purchase the Xbox.
That's the game that when I saw the gameplay, I knew it was fun. It looked
and it's
fun.
Totally worth it. Yeah, it's totally worth it.
And that game, I double did. Like I said, I have the game. I played it, beat it, love it. We'll play it over again, tons of hours. But I literally bought an Xbox One strictly for that game to me that looked just pure fun. It didn't go for the little bullshit. It was just pure fun. That's it. And that's all it was. I didn't buy a PS4 for Final Fantasy 15. I didn't buy a PS4. I didn't buy it for that. I did not. But there are exclusive games that I did want for the PS4. I follow the games. I can't get Uncharted on the Switch or the Xbox. But guess what? If I want to play that game, I have to buy that console. Don't give a shit what the console looks like, how it runs, what the power is, if it's popular.
I get that.
I want it for the game.
I get that. I understand y'all want the games. I understand that. But I'm just saying, if y'all had to pick, if you had to put these companies in an order, what order would you put them in? From we got the PlayStation, not PlayStation now. And I ain't gonna say PlayStation. You got Sony, you got Microsoft, and you got the good old Nintendo. Well, I mean, hell, I even throw Sega in there because say you grew up with Sega.
Okay.
Those four companies,
I'll be honest. Nintendo will be first because they also make their own games.
All right.
They also make their own games because they have a lot of franchises I like. So they're the only console maker. And then the next would be Sega because they made their own console and they also made their own games.
And who will be at
Sega would be top 2. After that,
you're both wrong. You got to go with Atari first.
We ain't talking about Atari.
Oh Lord, y'all too funny.
Well, I mean, since
everybody, that's a way you
trolling. So
don't try to get out of it.
No. Again, you asking a preference. The same thing I don't understand why you don't get that. You asking a person's preference. They buy what they like. So yes, so the Doc said that. Technically what Doc just said, Nintendo will be first for me. Sega will be second. Sony will be third. Microsoft will be fourth.
God,
that's my order.
I was going for that myself.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say,
that's the most games I enjoy. The most games I play.
And you know what, if you want to take a little bit further, you can throw TurboGrafx 16 and Neo Geo up in there somewhere.
Actually, I'm gonna keep it real.
I got Neo Geo. I like the Neo Geo.
I'm gonna keep it absolutely real. I would do Nintendo, Sega, TurboGrafx 16, Sony, Neo Geo, and Microsoft isn't even on the list.
Let me get mine. It's number one is gonna be Microsoft, and the reason why is because it's a American brand. Number two is probably I gotta go with my own Number 2 is probably gonna be good old Sony, just because Sony's always been tight to me. And after that, you got good old Sega because they got Streets of Rage on it. So, I mean, Genesis was always tight.
But you name it off.
Can I ask you a question though?
Good old
Microsoft.
Nintendo is gonna be last.
Well, you said Microsoft because it's an American brand, but if you're going with an American brand, you should go with Atari first because they were engaging for a lot longer and way more influential.
I ain't put Atari in there right now. I'm just talking about the ones that I said.
And you know what, T-Skate, what you just said right there, I have no problem with that. I would think nobody else because that's your preference, and you basically went beyond and told you added extra stuff to say why you put them in that list. But I just told you Sony, Microsoft. I gave you my list. That's what it is. We all have preferences. We just
hey, look, man, look. You ain't got to keep telling us. We know that. We know.
But you keep on asking the question about why we Nintendo fans. We told you multiple times why we are Nintendo fans.
Cause look. Y'all can't tell me that it's a little piece of y'all that's that childhood part that's there with Nintendo.
Keith,
I got it too.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
It ain't there. Like, cause
Nintendo has. Hey, Nintendo has.
I'm saying that because. Look, man, y'all give Nintendo a little bit of slack because you grew up with them.
Hold on.
Honestly, Nintendo has shit to do with my childhood, man. Being 35 years old, I can tell you. Look, although that was my first console, what I buy Nintendo today is not based on my childhood love for them and my nostalgia of the games I used to play on their console. It has shit to do with that. I buy Nintendo today because I know their consoles are more reliable. I can buy one at lunch and not have to worry about the shit breaking down. Red Ring of Death.
That's for him. That's for Doc speaking right now. That's for Nintendo fan.
That's one reason. You can't tell me they ain't go cheap with that Switch. You know they went cheap with that.
Dude,
that's the cheapest. That's the cheapest one. No, I'm not saying that it works or not. That's the cheapest console I've seen them ever make. That's Switch.
Okay, all right, okay. And your opinion, but what?
So so let me ask you this then: what do you think is inside the PS4 and Xbox One besides off-the-shelf cheap PC parts?
Look, I'm just talking about Nintendo.
What do you think is in it? You want to brag about the Switch being a cheap piece of hardware? Okay, what's so special about the PS4 and Xbox One? You got the basic RAM. Nothing special there. You got the basic PC parts. Nothing is unique about those consoles. You can basically make them with off-the-shelf parts.
Look, I'm not gonna go against that. I ain't gonna go against that. But look, I'm still saying from Nintendo and what they normally make in terms of quality, that Switch is not high quality like it was. I ain't gonna lie. The Wii U had high quality than that thing that Switch thing do.
What would be high quality? What would be high quality?
Yeah, define high quality because the Wii was actually the cheapest console to make, if I can remember correctly.
The Wii was, but yeah.
Look. That Switch thing, right? Ain't nothing but a hand-me-down. I ain't gonna say hand-me-down. Ain't nothing but another version of a tablet. Nintendo don't want to call it tablet because people want to believe that this is some type of console, which I still don't understand how people say it's a console. Whatever you want to say. It ain't nothing but their version of a tablet.
Okay,
why did Nintendo just make a tablet, right? Make a tablet, and then they, and call it a tablet, and say, well, our tablet has a little, because most tablets got that little, you can get the little controller thing.
They didn't make a tablet. It was the Wii U that was a tablet.
No, the Wii U had that little base that you connect to the TV. It was a total different thing. This Switch, good and well, that thing is a daggone tablet.
Let's keep it real. The Switch is a tablet that you connect to the TV. What's your point?
And on top of that, why Nintendo didn't get into the tablet game earlier? If they'd have gotten to the tablet game earlier, they'd be over there. Everybody else.
Okay.
Oh God.
Asking a hypothetical question. Sony jump into the cartridge game. Why didn't Sony jump into the digital MP3 player like Apple did? We can ask all these questions all day. They're relevant. At the end of the day, as I was saying,
but why would Sony jump into the cartridge game when they were getting in the game and cartridge was going out? That wouldn't make sense.
No, I'm simply saying we can say they should have. Because maybe they could control the medium more because they own part of DVD but not all of it. They own part of Blu-ray but they're not the sole owner of Blu-ray. That's the thing they share. That's why I brought that up. What I was saying is regard to Nintendo consoles is that I know I can trust their consoles from day one, more so than the others. Not saying Sony's released a crappy console all the time. Not saying Xbox has or Sega Genesis. I'm simply saying that day one for launch, I know I can trust their consoles more. Not 100%, but more so than the competition.
I don't know.
They also make they make their own games. So they make their own console. They also make their games, their own first party games. Typically, they are of higher quality than other games. By Nintendo to someone else, or even say whatever, it's a higher quality game. It typically works and it's fun. They focus on gameplay. Sorry, I prefer gameplay and gameplay experience more so than graphics. That's my personal preference. 3, I'm guaranteed to get Nintendo's first party titles with each and every console they release to get those titles. But how many of those PlayStation exclusives from the PS1 and PS2 do you see today on the PS3 and PS4? Very few, if any. Besides Uncharted, God of War, and Grand Theft Auto, not Grand Theft Auto, and Gran Turismo, what do you got?
I mean, you could say the same thing about Nintendo though.
Nintendo ain't got that many no more.
Where's a Sight Bite Balloon? Can you tell me Ice Climbers?
Where Kid Icarus at? Where Kid Icarus at?
On the 3DS.
On the 3DS. Excite Bike had 2 installments on the Wii called Excite Truck and Excite Bike.
That's not a Sight Bike.
Graham, you jumped around the question because I said I'm guaranteed to get those Nintendo games. I didn't say every single one first party titles.
No, but you did say where are the Sony games from the PS1 era? Okay, so we gotta keep in mind, right? What could Sony bring?
You know, Green argues.
No, what could what could Sony bring from the PS1 era to today's era? Let's think about this, right? They never owned Crash Bandicoot. They never owned Spyro the Dragon, right?
Medieval, Ape Escape.
Were those games successful even then? Were those games successful?
Ape Escape was successful.
Yeah, those were successful in PlayStation 1.
Hold on. This was not a question of success. I said that I was guaranteed to get Nintendo's first party.
Aren't you guaranteed to get Mario because Mario has been successful for 30 plus years? The same reason why we barely get Metroid games because Metroid games have never been that successful.
Yeah, Metroid games.
It makes sense.
They make money, but they don't make a lot of money.
But guess what? I hate to say this, but I never buy a game because it's successful. I buy a game because I want to buy a game.
I'm just saying that's why you're getting it.
No, but I'm not buying the game because of that. I bought a lot of failed games, failed critically acclaimed, failed okay, whatever. I buy a lot of games not because I want to feel so well.
Not to feel good. What I'm saying is, are you not saying you're not getting those games because those games have not been successful? No, that's what I'm saying. You get those games. Well, that's what I'm saying. You're getting those games because they've been successful. Why would Sony bring out Ape Escape and all those games from the past, and they weren't that successful when they kept bringing them out in the PS2?
Okay, so why? Wait. So why Resident Evil?
I'm going to give Nintendo's first party content regardless with every single console. It may not be every IP. That was my original point. I'm guaranteed pretty much to get a Zelda, a Mario, and various other IPs from Nintendo. This is their content. It's not licensed content.
So why aren't you guaranteed to get
Sony? Can only guarantee me 3 base. I'm not 3 IPs I can think of. I get every console generation, and that's going to be an Uncharted. That's going to be Gran Turismo, and that's pretty much the only 3 games I can think of.
That's what I'm saying, right? It's like you're talking 2 different things. One minute you're just guaranteed to get games that's first party from Nintendo. Then you say, well, I'm guaranteed to get games from the past that's been continuously being given to me. That's why I said if you go back to Sony and their lineage is not like Nintendo's to compare the 2.
I'm not comparing their lineage. The original question was why I choose to buy Nintendo, and I was given my reasons for buying them. I'm guaranteed to get these because they produce their own content. Sony today does not really produce their own content. There are a few games out there, but for the most part, they license everything. They're paying license fees for everything. And you may get it today for the PS4. It probably won't be back next generation. That
But
happens
see,
a lot.
hold
How
on
many,
now.
how many studios has Sony closed in the last 10 years?
No, see now Sony don't gobble up companies. Like, see with that Nintendo you talking about, they gobble up companies and make it a part of them. So okay, now
Oh, that's
you
EA.
know
That's
it's
not
That's any
Nintendo.
company.
no. They
company.
gobble companies up and put
That's
it
any
into
company.
themselves.
Microsoft
Look,
does it. So does Sony. So
look,
does
right.
Facebook.
But see, Sony a lot of times in that Microsoft over there, they let them companies be their own thing. They don't always join up with them and gobble them up. But see,
Okay,
see
so
that old boy Nintendo. You
Order
say like the
1886,
Mario
tell me what
games you're getting and the Zelda games you're getting ain't nothing but them gobbling up other companies and making it part of their own. And so you're saying, okay, now Nintendo got these games, we get them all the time.
Well,
Of course you will, because they gobbling companies up.
I will agree with you, KSK, that they do buy studios, and if they can't buy the studio, they damn sure hire the staff that make those games. People wonder, why can't Square Enix make a good Final Fantasy anymore? And when I say a good Final Fantasy, I mean Final Fantasies like they did back in the day. Well, because half of the damn staff that made those games is now at Monolith Soft. I mean, you want to know why we haven't gotten a Bomberman in so damn long? Because the people that used to be Hudson Soft now work at Nintendo. So, I mean, you're right on that. They do buy a lot of they do gobble up the staff of other people's IPs, like award-winning IPs. And I mean, that is kind of a dirty deed, but I mean,
That's not a dirty deed.
Well, I'm being facetious.
Okay.
But but to be fair, I mean, like, since when has since when has staff changes stopped a great IP from continuing on? Shit, Miyamoto hasn't made a Zelda game in years, but I mean, you still get Zelda games. Miyamoto hasn't made a damn
just like
Mario game in years.
Games.
We still get Mario
games. Uncharted games. You still get other games.
We do.
It's
So
not like
I mean, we can't. You can't say, well, because the staff isn't there, they get a pass for why these games are going down in quality. So the fact of the matter is that a lot of these games, even despite the staff not being there, are not what they should be.
But Keys said that it's because they gobble up studios and Sony and Microsoft let them do what they want to do. I said, okay, then. Example, Order 1886. They let them do what they want, and then once they didn't do well, what did Sony do? They basically left them there to die.
And how you don't know Nintendo ain't do that? They just laid them off. How you know Nintendo ain't do that? They just laid them off.
Sony didn't own Radio Dawn.
No, they didn't.
But they did come out publicly
on contracts, and they let that contract go.
Okay.
Y'all can see that, but see.
But the thing
Nintendo just laid people low.
Nintendo does the same thing. I mean,
I just said that.
But he says
your time is up.
He
you know what?
Companies, when someone can do what they want to do, it's like, okay, so you hire someone to make a game for you. The game doesn't do what it's doing. Sony's had far more layoffs and closed more studios than Nintendo has. Let's be honest.
Nintendo ain't got that much. They got that damn much. I mean, come on, man. No. This is what I'm saying, right? If Sony pays a studio that they don't own to make a game for them, right? I mean, the contract is they're being contracted to do work. Well, it's over. They did their job.
That's right.
So I don't get what you mean by they laying them off. They're done.
Dude, no. Whenever a game is like bombed, if a game is successful, Sony has kept them around.
Well, that means they keep contracting them out. But what I'm saying is the job they paid them to do, if it's done, they're done. That's what I'm saying. They didn't lay them off. They're done working. If the game came out and everything, they're just done with the job.
Yeah.
Now whether or not Sony want to hire them again is different. That's not a layoff. They're done working.
You're right, and Grim's right. Unless Sony owns a part of their
unless Sony owns some of them, which I don't think they did with Radio Dawn.
I don't know about Radio Dawn, so I can't answer that question.
No,
but they have done.
They didn't own Ready at Dawn, but Ready at Dawn did do a lot of work for Sony, and I mean, to tell you the truth, Ready at Dawn, even though people get mad at the Order 1886 because it's a 5-hour game that people paid $60 or more for, because some people got the special edition for like $200. The game, I mean, Ready at Dawn, I admire them because they just stole like $10 million from Sony for a 5-hour game. I mean, that is amazing.
Hold up, where you come off saying that they stole something? How the hell they steal something?
You make a 5-hour, okay. You make a 5-hour game and sell it for $60, and Sony gives you, literally, Sony gives you 4 years to make because the Order 1886 was supposed to be a marquee game for the PS4, like a marquee title to show the power of the PS4, and it's a gorgeous game. It really is. The only problem is that it's using some development techniques in order to get the frame rate to be steady and to, you know, make the graphics do a certain thing that they were doing on the N64. And the Ready at Dawn, they really, like, if you follow what happened behind the scenes, they were used to making games for the Vita and the PSP. Like, them making this game for the PS4 was kind of like a little bit beyond their infrastructure, what they could handle as a small studio. And so basically, I mean, look, I mean, I give credit to them. They basically got $10 million to make a glorified tech demo.
But Mr. Red Fox, if I ask, right, if the point was to show off the graphics, and that's what Sony hired them to do, and make a game, then they would have done their job, right?
They did their job, but it didn't sell.
They also wanted it to sell. So basically, what I'm saying is that yes, it is a gorgeous looking game, but it also flopped. So I mean, they look, man. Anytime a small business can steal money from Sony, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But
why is that? But why is that cool that they stole money from Sony? Wouldn't that be bad?
No,
he ain't steal no money.
No. Stop. If he's saying they stole money, why is that cool?
Allow me to explain. Because for some reason, it follows typically. Sony is one of those companies that for some reason, if they were a football team and they had like a dynamite quarterback who got them to the 1-yard line in their opponent's like almost to the almost to the end zone, 1 yard. All they had to do was do one snap and jump and make it for a touchdown. They'd F that up. So it's hilarious to me that they paid someone like $10 million to make a tech demo that flopped, and they were like, I can't believe it didn't make any money. I'm like, I'm not surprised. That's hilarious to me. I have a black sense of humor though, so what I find funny, other people would not.
all right.
I mean, I just wonder if next time Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, a third-party developer steals money from them, I just want to see. I mean, I don't know.
Let me put it this way.
Okay. Hold on.
I just don't understand what's funny.
No, that question is too red. You asked your question too red.
Yeah.
And you were on his podcast.
I just told you that I have a black sense of humor, and irony irony is hilarious to me. That's ironic.
But they didn't steal though. They ain't steal now.
Again, and please, you got Mr. Red Fox podcast. He has his own channel. Hey, you guys come together. Go to a beer buster. Go to a beer buster with them and talk about that stuff. Right now, I want to thank everybody who come into the chat, and thank you guys for coming in. This is a way I came back to America, and I'm gonna start off with this way, which is not the way I planned it to be. I was going to talk about France and Belgium and all that other stuff, but that didn't happen. But in that regard, you know what's going on, and I'm gonna put up some more videos. Grim Kisuke, I have a video that's uploaded right at this minute. The video I called both your name and Mr. T because I point out what you guys basically we were talking about tonight about third parties. I explain my reason in that and show you my collection of my games and what I got. If you want to watch it, that's what it is. But I did use your names in it. So it should be up after this video because, like I said, it's about 52% right now uploading. Other than that, guys, like I said, you know how it goes on. We'll catch you on next time. We're doing an endcast and all this stuff again. You can check out BS Busters from Mr. Red Fox on Sunday. You got the OGL cast from Dr. Feelgood. Grim has his Dubo podcast. You can check it out on his channel. Kiske, you have anything other than you do Let's Plays, right?
Whatever. I'm just here to see if I can get more people to play that Mario. That's why I'm really here.
Well, I played the Mario, but again, anyway, other than that, y'all have a good night. And you know what it is. There's no perfect games out there. What's perfect to you is not perfect to me. What's perfect to me is not perfect to you. Simply enjoy your games on all consoles, even PC. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.